All right, folks. Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. I'm doing this from home right here. I was actually asleep. Believe it or not, I was asleep. I was actually trying to enjoy some much needed rest. Wife's been on me saying that I need to get more rest and get more sleep. And a little bit of a glare on here. Hang on one second. Let me see where that's coming from. Be right back. Thanks anyway. Yeah, that's what it is. When you're done, that's all good, dude. We're just trying to get that glare off of there. I got a TV behind me. This isn't the ideal setup here. I want to get a makeshift studio set up here at the house. I used to do shows from my study in the old house, that haunted house I lived in. It really was haunted too. I've had a few things happen in here, but it's not like that one. That one had some bad energy, some really bad things going on. Let's see who's in the chat. I wasn't planning on being up tonight, but I mean, and I'm not going to get into a big old long thing about it, but somebody was trolling me on their channel and saying a bunch of nasty, just really, really nasty, mean things. The guy is absolutely hopeless. Went to his channel and was like, "Hey, dude, let me on and let me say what I got to say. I'm not going to get mad and go crazy, whatever." He's been attacking me, and he jumped on me on Facebook about 2 days ago or yesterday, day before yesterday now, I guess. And I just was like, dude, never ends with these people. It never ends. So all we can do is just, I don't know, pray for them, sue them. I don't know what we're going to do. I know we got lawsuits going with 3 people. We got to get the other ones. It's ridiculous. I don't want to talk about these people. There's no winning with them. They believe what people say. And when somebody believes something negative about you, a lot of times they want to believe that, and they're going to believe that, and so you're not going to change their mind. Our last show, I just was in a really exceptionally foul mood, and I was happy, to an extent. I wanted to do the show, but it's every day, constantly, 24/7, like literally 24/7 with these people. It's like they have shifts. You'll have one like you wake up and there's the day shift and they're attacking you, and then there's the afternoon shift. And why they're so obsessed with us at PRT, whatever, man. I guess it gets some views or whatever. But we would like to just be left alone. I've asked them this many times and they refuse. They just won't do it. I keep getting tagged by the one guy, and that's how that in the encounter with this dude that was talking tonight, that's how it started. But I mean, it did do one thing. I got out of bed and I was like, well, I can't go back to sleep now. Got wound up. So, instead of getting upset and making it into a negative thing and having to whatever, I just thought, you know what, let's do something good here. So I was looking at these. I don't know if I showed you guys before. We're not really, there's no specific parameters here for the show tonight. I just thought we would do something. Anybody can jump on and say whatever they got to say, if you want to talk or whatever. But this right here, look at that. Isn't that pretty? It's a werewolf coin. I mean, it's not a pretty, it's a cryptid. It's not a pretty creature, this wolf-like creature, but it's a real pretty piece of silver. Silver has now reached, I think, 56 something per ounce, and so it's really skyrocketed. And but gold is just it's unreal. I think gold is now at like 42.20 or something like that. It's crazy what gold is going for. So it's hard to get in now. But I know people who started buying in when it was at 3,000, 35, 100, whatever, and they're now up because they bought at that price. Um, and you could probably say it hits 4,500 soon, and then maybe possibly, and then you could sell and you made $1,000 profit off of per ounce, depending on what you're willing to get into. Now, somebody was asking me about gold futures. That's a whole different ball of wax. You're not just buying the gold bars. It's bullion. It looks like this. See, that's the year. That's the Chinese zodiac right there. It's the year of the dragon from 2012. So that one's worth a lot because it's a specialty. You can't get that anymore. The Pamp Suites do it every year, and it comes out and it's like year of the dragon, whatever, year of the tiger, year of the snake, whatever the zodiac, Chinese zodiac says or whatever. So those are worth like quite a bit. And but yeah, now you're looking at like a serious like, and everybody thought it was going to be like this big market correction and everything was going to go back to normal. It's not, believe me. So you could have made like quite a bit of money if you jumped in just at 3,000. And I know people who also jumped in around 25. When I started talking about it, I think it was at like 2,000. So it's doubled since I've been telling you. If you go back far enough, it might have been the first time I talked about it. I think it was at about 1,400 or something like that, 1,200 on the show, but I couldn't say 100%. But I've had a lot of people telling me that they made some money off of it, so that's good. At least some people followed my lead on that, and invested also in the AI stocks that I told people that they should look at doing. That's something that you should definitely look at if you want to try to invest and make some money. Economics is kind of just like a side hobby for me. I don't just watch sports and things like that. I do have a few ideas though. There were people who are close to me, friends of mine that I've known for years, who actually do like they bet on sports and things like that. I don't bet on sports. Every once in a blue moon, I would make like a friendly, whatever, but I don't do it anymore. Um, but it's not for lack of knowledge about it. So I have a couple friends who ask me about the college football games this weekend and last weekend and the weekend before, and I correctly predicted the top four conference participants. I did this last year too, and so one of my friends, I've had him as a friend for years, and he says that I should be betting on that to try to make some extra money. What's up, Bigfoot Rob? Your name was mentioned earlier too on that person's channel. So apparently, Rob, you and I and Blondes and Booze and some other channels have bound together, which is why not? I mean, if you're decent people, and we are wreaking havoc on the community apparently, and it was crazy. So they mentioned you specifically, Rob. So yeah, now we're, and let's be honest, this guy is one of the Oklahoma Rats friends. He's basically a mouthpiece for that dude, but he was on his show just blasting me. Just blasting me. So I went over there and was like, dude, I mean, he's got like 12 people in there or something. And I'm like, just put me on. Because the guy attacked me yesterday on Facebook. And I'm like, instead of attacking me, he won't give you a fair shake. He won't let you speak. So I just told him, I said, instead of attacking me, why don't we just squash this and just let me come on? And he refused. He absolutely flat out refused, no matter what anybody in the chat said. And there were a couple people from the paratroopers who showed up. I didn't go and round anybody up. So I don't know who did. And my brother was on, woke me up, so I don't know. The guy had argued with me yesterday or day before, whatever it was. He attacked me and just said all kinds of crap. And I was like, dude, and I even messaged him and was like, can't we just end this, dude? I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of fighting with him and all the people in that camp. They actually believe what this Jessica says. She is literally spinning the narrative. And they got that crazy, I don't even know how to say her name, Shelkaka Dion, whatever. She said something that which is an absolute lie, that Bettina told her that I was blackmailing her or whatever. That was not me. I did not do that. That's my friend, and I would never do that. And just for the record, it was Crazy Dana that spread that video around, not me. I deleted it. And Bettina's already said that. So I don't know why these people just keep on. But they need the drama. They need it. We don't here at PRT. Anybody who's ever accused me of that is out of their minds, because I don't need this crap. I don't want this crap. Drama doesn't get us views. Drama hurts our channel. Our channel is good. It's built on not having drama. It's built on, doing quality work, doing a good show, and, and talking about the paranormal, which is why we're here tonight. So if anybody wants to jump on, there's a link here. Let me post it real quick. There's a link right there. Jump on. There's the link in the chat, and you can jump on and you can tell your encounters. It's like 2 a.m. here. Okay. We have 100 people. We're not going to fill the seats. Tomorrow is a big show. We'll have a few hundred people, whatever. Tonight, we get 100 people. We're doing better than most channels at this time of night. So 2 o'clock here, it'd be 12 a.m. on the West Coast. And of course, it's 3 a.m. on the East Coast. But our friends across the pond, which we have a lot of friends over there from Europe and from everywhere. We have friends all over the place. Australia, we have a pretty good following. We have a following in Britain and Ireland. Jump on. I mean, for sure. If you want to come on and speak and say what you got to say or whatever you want to talk about, there's all kinds of things we can do. I mean, that's the good thing about having a show like this. You can just get on and say whatever, And yeah. Can't see the chat too good. Let me see if I can put my glasses on here and maybe. Maybe I could put them on. Sorry, we didn't have a show last night, which was Friday, which we should have had a pre-record. That is not a Patreon. That is not a members only. That is just a regular show, and that was going to be the one with Sean. And we have too much going on. Too much going on. I mean, it's just we've been slammed. Excalibur, what's going on? How you doing?
I thought I'd jump on until you get someone more interesting. I don't think I'm that interesting.
Well, everybody's got their own story. You're interesting as anybody else, I mean.
Oh, few hauntings. Haunted ranch, that's about it.
Yeah, what do you got for us? You got something spooky?
I can retell what I've said it before, but I think the freakiest thing, my family ranch is haunted. There's been so many different things. I've never seen anything, but I've had weird things happen. Like in one night, I was talking to a friend of mine about him hearing stories, haunted, scary stories, when he was on tour in Europe. And in the same night, I had the radio that never worked in my truck suddenly go on by itself in the garage. Went out, messed with it, turned it off, came back in, and it came on again. And then by the second time I come back into my place, there was something written on my computer. Like 2 sentences. Yeah, it's a little weird. And then I noticed that my fish tank heater exploded and killed all my fish.
Yeah.
All this happened in like 30 minutes.
I could actually play off of that because Okay, I think we have 1,000 videos on the show, and so I don't, I know that there was I've talked about this before. My aunt used to have a computer program, Dragon Speak, and this happened when it would be my first cousin's daughter. So that way, man, and I can't believe I'm this old. She's in her 30s now, and I was in my 20s. Oh no, she would have been. I think she's almost. No, she's not. She's almost. I think she's almost 30. I think that's the case, in like her late 20s, something like that. I was in my 20s when this happened, and I had my aunt telling me that she was trying to use it because she had like carpal tunnel, and she was trying to use it to um, do some kind of work for her job. So she brought it home, and she left the computer open. And when she was babysitting my first cousin's daughter, because my cousin had overnight job, and she would work 10 to 6. And so she would come in the morning and pick her up. And so in the middle of the night, it must have happened in the middle of the night, she wakes up, and it says, "The baby is mine."
Oh,
And her house was haunted when we were kids. I haven't talked a whole lot about it. I know I've touched base on it a little bit. I had two weird experiences in that house, if I remember correctly. There were only two. There wasn't a whole lot, but yeah, I do remember two of them. And I know I've talked about this on the show. My cousins, when they were little, would talk about this little green man named Max, and he looks kind of like a goblin. And then their children, who are now all grown pretty much, except for like I think two, because they were born kind of late, whatever, later than everybody else. But most of their children are already like grown ups in their 20s. But they talked about seeing this little green man, and the little green man's name was Max. Like he even had a name. Like he called himself Max. So that was weird. That wasn't the only message she got either. There was another one that was just in all garbage, gibberish, whatever, to her anyway. And at that time, I was not as inclined to do paranormal like I do now. Like I didn't look at everything and go, "Hey, this is an opportunity." You know what I mean? I was young and I didn't. But looking back on it, though, I think it was in Latin, and I wish she would have kept it, because as I've talked on the show before about how demonic entities will actually speak backwards in ancient languages like Greek and Latin, and even like going way back to like Tamil and things like that. One of my friends, Jairus, actually, he is Tamil, and he gave me a weird story recently about somebody. And see now how we could just play off it. We just keep going, but
it's freaky if that, to come back and see something written on a computer, or got to be even freakier if it's you hear it from the computer.
What did it say to you? What was it that was
I can't remember what, this was a long time ago. So
yeah,
like over,
I thought that's what it was.
It was over 20 years ago, but it was like two or three sentences, and it was kind of made sense, like there were words that made sense, but the sentence itself didn't quite make sense.
Mm.
If that means, there were, regular words. Can you hear me?
Jeez.
Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me? I can hear
Yeah,
you.
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff with that. And then
it is. I mean, and I was gonna say, and the amount of different things that can happen at one location at that family ranch. There has been, my sister got a recording, an EVP, and it said her name. I mean, I heard she played it for me over the phone because I was in Oregon at the time, and there was a disembodied voice in the main house that yelled at someone who was cleaning, "Get out of my house."
ugh.
This is like a family friend. And then the most recent ones is, at this point in time, the only person that lives in the main house, he works for the family business, and he rents the place, and his niece and nephew were there. and they said they saw an older man standing by the fireplace. And so they say it was, but both my parents passed away in that house and over the years. They said they tried to claim it was my dad, but we know that whatever haunts the place, they like to look at what it looked like, whatever they want to look like.
Yeah.
My ex said he actually saw standing in the hallway a really old Italian guy in the apartment that's in the barn. And the guy who built that barn was an old Italian guy. He was like the guy who owned the property until like the very late 60s. And he passed away. He passed away there. Again, it's not him haunting it. We know it's whatever's there. It's just really a weird place. Just weird. So many things.
But okay, so, and I know I told this one on the show, and I don't know if you remember this one. You've been a listener for a long time, and I had an aquarium. I have an aquarium now. It's a 75-gallon, but I have a smaller one too. But I had a 55. A friend of mine who lived with us, he's still my friend to this day. He lived with us, but he couldn't pay his rent. So he had an aquarium, and he said, "Hey, man, I'll just let you keep the aquarium if you give me another couple months or whatever." And I didn't want to kick him out or whatever. He was going through some stuff. So I ended up with that 55-gallon aquarium, and then he moved out, and his name was Josh too. MC, welcome to the show. You might want to mute your thing for just a moment here. Okay, sorry. Thank you for showing up. Just give me 1 second. Well, she jumped off. But so what ended up happening is that house, that's the one that my brother and I are writing a book about right now. That one I lived in for almost 10 years, and it was definitely 100%. I wouldn't even call that one haunted. It's like beyond a haunting. A haunting is like every now and then when you think about a haunting, it's like every now and then you might see something. This was like regular basis, and anybody that stayed there, and some people could handle it better than others. Some people could take it better than others, and there were people who just could not stand it. They couldn't take it. And MC is back. So my aquarium there, I talked about this. MC, if you could just mute your mic just for a second, because there's a feedback there.
Sorry.
That's okay. And so I had the aquarium, there were two couches, like in an L. There were two really big couches. One was really comfortable, and I used to lay there and watch TV. And it was a comfortable place, when the weird stuff wasn't happening, which wasn't 24/7, but it did happen. And then there was a back door you could open up, and there was a screen, and the wind would there would be a nice cross breeze. And then you could open the window to the front by the den. And so I would be sitting there, and I just remember waking up. I had fallen asleep watching baseball or something, and I got up, and I remember all my fish just one of the times, happened more than once, all my fish were just floating at the top of the aquarium, all of them. And I thought that was pretty horrible. And then another time I came home from work, I think it was work, or I'd gone somewhere. I had done something. I came home, and they were all, it was nuts, man. And I just couldn't deal with it. I was just like, this is crazy, man. And I moved out not too long after that second time, or maybe it was the third time. It happened, And then one time I remember the aquarium, just the water swirling around. There was like a tornado inside my aquarium. I don't know how it happened or what.
Oh, wow.
And I know that it messed with our animals too. I know one of my brother's cats passed away there. And we had just, our dogs would bark and yelp and scream like something would kick them or hurt them or something. Like it was hurting our pets. And I was constantly trying to cleanse the place. And, and I know there was this old mirror that was there when we moved in. And I know that it was a source of a lot of problems. But I've talked about it on the show before. There were so many different things that went on in that house. And so many different people were actually affected by the phenomenon in that house. There was no doubt, that there was something going on there. You'd have to be completely just, demented to not see it.
So apparently they really like to kill fish.
Yeah, kill fish and just go after whatever. A friend, there was a girl that I dated, and her friend had gone off to the Navy, and she left her birds. And so she brought one of the birds over to the house, which was a really sweet bird, and I liked the bird a lot. And she just flipped out and started flying all over the place. And I mean, this was a very well disciplined bird. Like, she could hold that bird and it wouldn't flip out or fly or do anything. And it just went crazy and smacked itself into the wall. And then it was never the same. And it would mess with our pets. One of our dogs, we had a Boston Terrier. He ran away. We never saw him again. We don't know what happened to him.
I had one time came home to 3 weanling horses locked inside the stall that no one would ever shut the outside, the door to go out to the paddock.
Uh-huh.
And it's a really hard door to shut. It's a sliding door. It's very hard to shut. So it wasn't like it, the wind did or anything. And no one did anything with the horses except me or my father. And why are they locked in the stall? It was very weird, and no water in the stall because the water is out in the paddock. And that was the only time a horse was messed with. Horses, but very weird stuff at that ranch. Very weird.
And you never know what could have happened there before.
Well, my sister always had this really creepy feeling about this really tall tree. It was a blue gum tree, and it was like at least 150 feet tall. So you wonder how many people got hung from it back in the day, Because this is north central California, not very far from Western Gold Town stuff, all that. It's like right before the foothills and all that stuff. And so who knows what happened back in the day. That tree did finally come down and land on the stables. Thankfully, none of the horses got hurt. But it was a big tree. It was very creepy. It was a very creepy tree. And I think the weirdest thing I had happen inside the apartment was I had something step on my bed and step over the top of me. Like if someone stepped on the bed and then stepped over you. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, basically, get out in the name of Jesus, get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I did a big cleanse, and there has been nothing inside that apartment. My sister lives in that apartment now. Nothing. She has no problems. Never had any problems with my animals after that or anything. So at least that part it stays away from. But it's got the rest of the ranch.
Yeah. Sparky says ranches are awesome for paranormal, always history. Yeah, that's what we were going to finish up talking about. We were going to try and do a live tonight, but I was just beat. I was exhausted. And so, yeah, we didn't do we didn't finish up with the stuff about California because there's still more to go. And who is this? Who is Clyde McCoy? I'm thinking that is that your real picture? Is that
you? No, it ain't me. No, I'm joking, man. I'm Conrad, the guy that was on the stream earlier.
Ah, Conrad. Nice to have you on, Conrad. I hope you didn't.
Hey, nice to be on, man.
Buy into all of that because that's not the case. And I was pleading my case to try to, because the guy attacked me yesterday on Facebook. And unprovoked. And I was like, dude, you've been away leaving me alone. Why can't you just go back to leaving me alone? I don't want to fight these people. And he talks about the Reddit thing. The Reddit thing is mostly the work of like 5 people. I mean, they're not a big group of them, but they're they do work together. And we have a group, a bunch of groups. We have a lot of groups, not just one, but PRT News is the group where you can go and you can see all the nasty things that they've said and done. I can show you something. You'd probably be shocked when I show you this, but this is the truth. And and hold on one second, MC. I got you in there.
Okay.
Thank you for being. You sound very sweet. Thank you for being patient with us.
That's okay. Don't worry. No worries.
Conrad was the guest on that guy's show, and the guy was saying all kinds of stuff.
I didn't even know what to think, man. Like, I was trying to, like, have you on because I thought it would be best if you were to come on and answer the accusations yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I didn't know what to say, man. Like, what do you say? Like, here.
So that right there, you see 141,865 photos, 2,457 videos. Those are real numbers. That's the amount of evidence we've collected from these people who are doing what they're doing. And we had to turn that over. Now, I can't say anything about 3 of them because I'm having to bring lawsuits because they just wouldn't stop. Now, there's 4 of them still that are going around acting crazy and doing whatever, and that is a whole other ball of wax. So you have to go federal with that. But I've given them every opportunity, and the audience can tell you that, to stop with the trolling and the fighting and the drama. Nobody wants that. And, you saw I wasn't being rude to the guy. I was trying to be polite as possible and come on and talk to this guy and reason with him, but he did not. He doesn't want to reason. He doesn't want to be cool. He wants to fight, and I don't want to fight this guy.
Have you ever talked to him in a live stream before?
No.
No, really.
He won't speak to me. He attacked me like a year and a half ago. And we still to this day don't know why he got involved. And I'm not going to say his name because this could turn into something, but we don't know why he got involved. I mean, he just got involved because don't know. And so we were getting attacked by multiple people at that time. Like I said, there's not a big old group of them. He tries to make it out like there's a big army. There's just them and a few people they've influenced to act crazy. And, and yeah, he says, oh, he cried on his show. Yeah, I did cry. I lost my cool, man. My wife's going through hell. She's got a tumor, and they're attacking and saying that,
Jesus,
the most horrible things you can imagine, saying that they hope she dies and all this other crap. And I don't want my wife to die. I mean, this is crazy stuff, And I'm almost at my wit's end where I was just like, you know what? This is not worth it. This was my passion. They're just, and they've sucked the fun out of it. And so tonight I thought, you know what? I'm just going to jump on and just do a stream and just not talk about all that, but just talk about what we do, which is paranormal cryptids, alien abduction. We did a series with some guys recently. They're twins. They were abducted. It's really good. We've done a lot of good stuff, and I think we've actually helped a lot of people. And I've tried to be as, I don't know how you say it, like as decent, but now I'm really fed up because the one guy that he's touting, that guy's mother, I said something really nasty about her because she's involved in this. She's at the heart of this. And he's like, oh, she's elderly. Yeah. And she's also said some of the nastiest, meanest things a person can possibly say. And she's attacked us relentlessly. So they try to skew it to where it looks like, we're these bad people. Well, that's not the case. When you get to your wit's end, you say things, you snap. You're like, I'm tired of this. I just want it to go away. And it won't, because these people don't know how to stop. I don't know what to do. My channel doesn't do good with drama. My channel was not built on that. It's not built for that. This isn't a drama farming channel. My channel is built around people's encounters, people coming on the show. Every Monday, people jump on and tell their encounters. And on Sunday and Wednesday, I retell people's encounters. And then we have all kinds of series that we do. We have one right now with a guy, Sean, who has been on every Friday. It's a pre-record, telling his experiences and talking about the reptilians and things like that. I mean, we try to do everything we can to make, everybody feel welcome. And I don't know, man, I can't, some of these people, no matter what you do, no matter how many olive branches you do, they just say the most horrible, awful things. And you could see he was just cussing me out. He was saying every horrible, vile thing in the book.
And I still get why, you've never spoken to him. It's this kind of like text exchange kind of battle going back and forth. It doesn't make any sense to me, man. Like, if you were willing to come on, he should have invited you on.
Yeah, and I've never even texted that guy. All it is just on Facebook. He's attacked me on Facebook. Yesterday, his friend that he's been fighting for or whatever, he tagged me in some videos and stuff, and I was like, dude, I don't want to be involved with them. And I told this guy, I was like, why are you tagging me in this crap? You know, and then he jumped on and just started, you know, the
Bro,
guy
he started like naming names, and like I'm wondering like who half these people are, and it was like some crazy stuff that he started bringing up, man. I was like, what the fuck is even going on, bro? And I'm like, what? Like there was some transgender secret government agent, and I'm just like, holy fuck! Like this is the craziest.
transgender secret government agent. What is that? What
Like
was this transgender?
I don't know. Oh, God damn! I'm trying to think of the guy's name. It was this weird. I found the video. I could probably bring it up.
Golly, dude. God, you know, that's the thing. I don't even know that you can have an intelligent conversation with them because he just kept saying like, "Oh, he's a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit." And I'm like, dude, just talk to me. You know, we can talk like human beings. I mean, instead of this attacking my wife, he hates my wife because she has defended me because she created PRT News and exposed all of their nonsense. And now it's this whole, you know, and they want me to quit is what it is. And I wonder, you know, if they're not shills, if they're not, I don't think he is, but the people he's fighting for, they could be. Because who goes this hard to get somebody off of the air when you just, you know, when they attacked me, it was like, what was I hurting? I wasn't doing anything to these people. I was nice to these people. And they created this whole group dedicated toward destroying PRT, and it's just gotten out of hand. It's gotten so ridiculous. And you know, personally, I would get any of them on the show. I mean, let's talk it. Let's get it over with. Get it out there. But they won't do that. I have given them the link many times, and I've been on other people's channels and offered to do it. And I even offered to go on their channel when Sparky right here, he can attest. He went on there and they all ganged up on him and said a bunch of crazy crap. And you know, I've told them many times, you know, and as far as like, I'm not, you know, like the Mr. Nice Guy, you know, when I get mad, I'm mad. And so, you know, I said something about him and his mother because they're the ones attacking me constantly. And it came out in court that this guy that you know, that host was fighting so hard for, it's been proven in court that dude was tied to these fake accounts. You know, at least one of them, we know 100%. The other one, we have proof because the person that they were talking about who had said something on that other show about me blackmailing her. She's one of my best friends. I just talked to her, but they tried to say that she was against. She's not. She's just sick of their crap and trying to stay away from them. But they got her to go on there and lie. We have proof. We have the literal screenshots of all of this. So everything they say can be disproven, and I can bring screenshot after screenshot after screenshot and show that this stuff's been turned over to our lawyer too. I mean, and he like, you know, well, there's two of them, but one of them he laughed about it. He said, "This is so incriminating that they have no idea like what they've done. Like they have gone so far over the edge that I know we haven't done anything to them up to this point." So I think that they think that they can just keep attacking, but it's just going to make it worse because it's libel and slander and defamation. And I guess they don't understand those kind of words, but they're going to. I promise you. I promise everybody that they're going to understand them because they keep bringing people onto their show that are just making shit up with no proof. Now they'll tell you, "Yo, we got receipts," but they don't have any receipts. We're posting the receipts in PRT News. So that's what's going on there, Conrad. I hate that, you know, that we met that way, but hey, you know, you'll see if you pay attention and watch the show and or want to participate or talk about stuff. There's a lot to talk about that has nothing to do with all of this garbage.
Well, bro, before we got into whatever the fuck we got into, where we were talking about all these random personalities, like, you know, like I wanted to like come on talk about. I was trying to get a feeling for his ideas or like where he came into kind of like this whole paranormal field, and then it got completely sidetracked for like 2 hours about random people that he had beef with. I don't know, it was bizarre, man.
Yeah, I mean it's really hijacked. It's hijacked my show too,
bro.
It's
dude, like I'm all into this stuff, man, because like. You know, it's hard for me to like kind of like talk to people like that like I like where I work and everything was like about anything to do with this kind of stuff, like my own personal experiences. So like I really dig that there's like stuff like this on YouTube where you can actually talk to people who have also had encounters with stuff, man.
Oh yeah. And that's mostly that's mostly what we do. It's just unfortunate that these, and I don't know, what to call them. These malcontents have hijacked a whole section of this community, and we'll be
Yep.
trying to do our show. We get trolled and attacked, and you're just like, dude, they don't ever get tired of it either.
Well,
They
that's
don't.
the problem. Is like we're trying to do paranormal encrypted stuff, and we're diving deep in that. We're trying to get friends that understand that and get their ideas and their viewpoints of where they come from. And then next thing you know, every video you're doing, you're trying to do a response just so people don't think you're some, excuse me on language, asshat because somebody's calling you out. It just derails everybody.
Oh, totally, man. Like, what? Okay, so what's your guys like? What's the craziest stuff you guys have seen? Then I'll tell you what the craziest thing I've seen.
Oh man, for me, well, I have a book about it. It's on Amazon, and it's called Dogman. It's called Werewolves and the Dogman Phenomena.
Nice. Okay.
I think that the craziest thing for me, like I said, I lived in a house that was haunted for 10 years, and I had a lot of weird stuff go on there. But when I was 15 years old, I saw something that looked like a 7.5 foot tall werewolf. Now, I don't say it was a werewolf. I don't know. Like, I vacillate back and forth about what it was. I only saw it one time, but I've interviewed people and had people come on the show who've talked about they've seen these things like multiple times. There are people who have ranches that, they have like a bunch of encounters with these things. And, one example, the prime example would be Hernandez Ranch. They were some people that we worked with, and there are probably people in the chat who have met them. I know Gary, my brother, my nephew Anthony, and Tony. I don't know if they're all in the chat, but they've all met these people. But we worked with them for a very large, because I own a security company, so it was a very large construction company, and they were doing cabinetry for them because they were building like hundreds of houses in these 3 different places, or 4 different places. And one day, a guy that I had worked with for about a year, he heard me playing Dogman Encounters. That I was on Dogman Encounters radio, and I did a bunch of work with that guy. And so I was in there, and I was actually working out. Like I was actually, because it was a day shift. It was a 24/7 on the weekend, and I was like doing a Saturday there. I had to go in, and because even though it's your company, you still got to work, and this was several years ago. And so I was working out, and he heard me while we were sitting there talking about his schedule coming up and how many people he was going to need to be let through the gate and all this stuff. He heard the guy talking about werewolves. I mean, because it was there was a guy on there talking about it on the show, and it was a recorded. And he asked me what that was, and I told him, and then he just walked off. But about an hour and a half later, he comes back from lunch, and him and his brother started talking to me about the ranch that they grew up on and how they had a bunch of weird activity. And one of the things they saw were these creatures. So we interviewed them, and the next thing you know, we went out there twice. I won't go there at night. I promise you there is some serious weirdness out there. And having seen one of these things, I know they're real, and I've had people ridicule me, and that's fine. That's, but there have been thousands of people that I've talked to who've seen these things. And I've tried to make an environment here where people will come on and talk about their Bigfoot sightings, their Dogman sightings. That's what people call these creatures. I don't personally call them Dogman because it didn't look like a dog to me. It looked like a wolf, and so, but some people do see them, and, and there's different theories about what they are, like whether they could be something that was created by the government, or maybe they were something from the Anunnaki or fallen Archon, whatever you want to call them. And maybe they just stuck around, and then now they're being hybridized, or maybe they're subterranean. I don't know. Some people like to say that they're shapeshifters. That could be too, I lean toward all of the above. There could be more, like a lot of different things going on.
Bro, I believe it, man. Absolutely. I've never had an encounter with something like that, like a dog, man. But like I believe wholeheartedly there's has to be a reason why so many people are seeing these things.
Yeah. And the whole thing with this, is that there are there's multiple different things going on. Like and people, like somebody just mentioned Stripes. Stripes was this one of the guy that we worked with. I worked with him and his two brothers. He had three brothers, but we worked with two of them, and so those three guys, they had some weird stories. They introduced me to a guy named Abel, who was their uncle, and he claimed that he had one of these creatures. He didn't have it, but it was like it hung around his property since it was young, and he watched it grow up. And people would say, well, that there would be proof that that would be proof that this thing was some kind of, and this was he was really old, right? But they said this would be proof that this would be a physical thing, and it eventually stopped because when he got married, his wife didn't want it around. It would show up at the house and it would walk around on two legs. And her being, Mexican American and being very terrified of it, obviously, she just says you can't trust this thing. You don't know what this thing is. You shouldn't have it hanging around. And people say, well, the argument is that if that story is to be believed, and I don't know if it is. I mean, I know what they told me, but it could be, I don't think these guys all conspired to lie to us, to me and my whole team. But when Abel would talk about this thing, he talked about it very matter of fact. And he goes, you may not believe me. This is the absolute truth. And there were other people who I interviewed that were attested that there was one that was peaceful. Now, that doesn't mean that they're all physical flesh and blood. And also, if you've ever lived in a haunted house like I did, that stuff will happen, and somebody used the word confounded earlier. Yeah, it's confounding because you're sitting there going like, sometimes these things can grab you. They will appear as flesh and blood, and they'll look like a living person in your house. But it's not a living person. It's a ghost, and it will disappear right in front of you. And I've had countless people tell me they've seen ghosts. In fact, Chad Lewis, the author, is a good friend of mine. He was at my conference and we were talking about it. Me, him, and David Weatherly, one of the other good friends of mine, is an author. And they were talking about 1 and 2 people having seen ghosts and how ghost books will outsell cryptid books any day of the week because more people have seen them. But I made the argument that cryptids could be very similar to ghosts in that they could pop in and out of our reality. And so it kind of caught on, the term paranormal cryptid, and I know a lot of the cryptid people, they didn't like that. And so they came at me pretty hard because I made the connection between the spirit and the flesh. But I think these things hover somewhere between the two. And I think it's scientific. I think that you can quantify it by looking at this as like a fourth dimension, fourth density, fifth density, it goes on and on. And that's my take on it. That's kind of where we stand. And so since me coming into the community and trying to bring people together to talk about this, there has been a big pushback and people that have attacked us relentlessly, and they want to destroy that narrative.
There are people that can't even accept the evidence. Look at the video that Scott Carpenter had of the Bigfoot stepping out of the vortex. Yeah. Pretty obvious to me.
Well, it's not the craziest thing I've seen, but I've had an encounter with something that I can't explain it. I have proof of this encounter, video proof of what I thought what occurred. Basically, I'm standing having to smoke outside. I back then I lived in the woods. This was like around 2017. I hear what sounds like a loud owl coming, hooting down a hill. I'm just standing there. I'm like, this is the loudest owl I've ever heard. And I reply back to it.
Oh.
And it goes quiet. About 30 seconds later, up the hill now, it's around dusk, so I couldn't see underneath where this thing was standing. But this thing just literally screams at the top. It sounds like a mix of like a deer and like a woman being stabbed. Like it sounded like almost like a woman's shriek. Like I can't mimic it. It was so bizarre. Mixed with like what sounded like a white-tailed deer, like grunting. It was the weirdest thing I've ever heard. And like I ran inside and locked the door, and it was getting dark at that point. And it took me 2 days to go down to this pond, this frozen over pond, where I had heard the owl initially hooting. And I go to where I heard the scream, and I found tracks. These were large, these look like large deer tracks. But when I say large, like they were the size of like a dinner bowl. Like the size of moose tracks, basically, but they were white-tailed deer tracks. Like I can tell tracks when I see them. They were white-tailed deer tracks, or some type of deer really close to a white-tailed deer. I follow the tracks down to the frozen over pond, and I'm not even joking. These tracks vanish halfway into the pond. They didn't walk onto the pond where I initially heard like the owl. They just appeared out of thin air, and up at the top of the hill, they disappeared into thin air. Literally, like it was not even there. Like it's the craziest thing. And I thought I was going like, who's going to believe me that like literally deer tracks are going to appear in the middle of a iced over pond? So I filmed. I stood as far away from the tracks as I could, so I could prove that it wasn't me that made these tracks. And they literally appear in the middle of a 200 by 200 foot pond in thin air. These tracks. So I believe that these things, whatever the hell they are, can appear and disappear. Like there's something to that.
And you said that this started with like you hearing an owl.
Like when I say an owl, I mean like it was loud. It sounded like it was something being blared out of the back of somebody's car, like subwoofers, like cranked up to the max. Like I've never heard an owl this loud before. It was literally like echoing throughout the entire valley.
See, because my mother's Hispanic. Well, she's Hispanic and native, but on that side, there's something we call the lechuza. I'm from Texas, so it's pretty common here. And the lechuza is like it's a bruja, well, a witch. That's what a bruja is, and it actually can become like this owl like creature. It's a woman that can shapeshift. Typically, if it's a brujo, they like to use deer or coyote, and and in particular Yatkis. Marmar Rio says, were the Hernandez and Abel part native? Yes, they were. They were actually part Lipan. So they were Hispanic and Lipan, just like one of my friends, Chief, who's been on the show too. He's black belt jiu-jitsu, a fighter. He's got a big thing here in Texas going. What's his fight thing called? Arcanum Combat. Yeah, but he's got a Texas Catch Wrestling. So that's what I'm not gonna say his name, but that's what the guy was referring to, that I'm a fighter. Yes, I used to be an MMA fighter, and I also coached it for 16 years. And so he's trying to play on that I'm this angry, violent man, that I have a protruding Neanderthal forehead. I assure you I did not, but that's fine, whatever he wants to believe. You can be a gentleman scholar and a fighter. You don't have to be just a big Neanderthalic thug, like people want to paint you out to be. But so that's what he was referring to, Conrad. And I know that you're just probably like, you just walked into this too. It's like, well, the guys just over there just going crazy. You're trying to talk about this stuff, and it's turned into that. I was sitting there going,
no, whatever, man. Like, bro, like I know that like my granddad's my granddad was Huron, and in like North American legends, like up here, like owl is like a sign of something, like basically so it's related to something called the Wendigo, what we have up here, and that's why I think I saw those footprints that looked like they were giant deer tracks A Wendigo will sometimes mimic certain things, like
Mhm.
specifically an owl. They're also associated with bright flashes of light, which, like, I've seen. Like, me and my brother saw this back around the same time, maybe a little bit before we saw, or I encountered or heard. I never saw the thing, though. Keep in mind, like, I only heard and recorded the prints of the thing, so I have no idea what it was standing underneath the tree screaming at me, right?
Dude, and
So,
imagine, God, if because I can tell you, there's only a couple cryptids that really frighten me. The Bear King comes to mind. Here in Texas, we have this thing called the Bear King, and it's, in fact, I think I have a picture. We have a sticker coming out that's going to be sent out with all of our swag bags, guys. And it's of the Bear King, and that one there, that story kind of unnerves me. But the Wendigo is really creepy, dude. Like, that's freaky. Like, I would not want to come across that thing in a million years, dude. Like, no way.
I think, like, bro, I grew up in the woods, like, here in Ontario, Canada, near near a lake called Lake Simcoe, and there's a lot of weird stories like that have been reported around here, just strange things like, oh, okay, this is the thing right here. Like,
Yeah,
I just think that there's something to do with, like, different paranormal locations. Like, people say that there's certain houses that are haunted, like yours. I think that, like, I grew up in a cursed land or something, man. Because, like, I had so many bizarre encounters with me and my buddies camping out there in those woods. My one buddy claimed that he saw Bigfoot. He didn't call it Bigfoot. Like, we thought, like, this was back in 2006. It was like my birthday, 2006, in the summer, and we were just camping out in the woods, man. Everyone was passed out, but three of us. And I went to go grab logs for the fire, and I smacked the logs together, and it created, like, a loud clacking noise that echoed through the woods. And we heard a scream come out of the swamp, and then I clacked the sticks. Like, we were drunk by this point. It was like 3 a.m. or so, and I clacked the sticks again because I wasn't scared. And then the second time I clacked those sticks together, man, it was like whatever it was in the swamp sounded pissed. Like, it was louder and angrier the second time it screamed at us. And we eventually went to bed, the three of us, but my one buddy, who wasn't awake at the time, he gets up in the morning at maybe like 7 o'clock, maybe 6:30 or so to take a piss, and he gets out of the tent for not even 30 seconds. And he runs into the tent, curls into a ball, and he says like that there's a gorilla in the swamp. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I get out of the tent, man, and I look, and there's nothing there. But he swears to this day that he saw a gorilla in the swamp the night after we heard the screams coming out of the swamp.
What did the scream sound like?
It took me years to find it, but I found the exact recording of exactly what I heard, and it's called the Ohio Howl.
Oh,
I found the recording like years later, and I didn't even think about it for years until I randomly looked up. Like, I was like thinking one night, I was like, "What the hell did I hear that night?" And I looked up Bigfoot sounds, and one of the recordings that came up was the Ohio Howl, and Ohio's right across the border from Ontario, so I clicked on it, and it was the exact same thing we heard.
jeez.
Well, the thing about those kind of animals, if you're talking about Bigfoot, even Wendigo, they actually claim territory. So they have, like every other animal you can think of, they have like a range of where they go, depending on the seasons and when they have to do for whatever. But if you're in an area where they're at, it's not surprising.
Yeah.
It's there's something bizarre about it, man. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, to have had the amount of encounters that I had in those woods, like, and that's not even the only things that's like we've seen. Me and my one buddy saw UFOs back there. I've seen UFOs there alone. you know, a lot of bizarre stuff like that. Like I can't even it's like a long list of bizarre encounters that I had starting when I was 6 years old, which kind of is what led me down kind of believing in like the paranormal, that there would be something to it. You know what I mean? Like I thought, like I didn't think that there was some aspect of truth to the paranormal.
So, real quick here, I was going to say, MC, I know you've been waiting patiently, and thank you for that. I'm going to let you tell your encounter. Are you going to stay on with us for a little bit, Connor, or Conrad?
Oh yeah, okay. For sure, bro.
Okay, yeah, because I definitely interested in what you have to say, and I'd like to have you come on either on a Monday or possibly do a recording with you, because I'm in the process of recording with multiple people who've had multiple encounters. We coined a phrase experiencer, because certain people have had like multiple experiences and it runs the gamut. And I do believe that there is something that precipitates that. Like maybe some people are born with a cowl over their face, and it's the eye. In Spanish, they call it the ojo do toro. And then there's this other type of person that something awakens something in them, like they'll have a paranormal experience, and then it just leads to this, or they'll encounter a Bigfoot, or they'll encounter a dogman, or they'll have alien abduction, which is one of the worst things to happen. But that seems to precipitate like a lot of this activity. So yeah, you're definitely interesting with all of these different encounters you have, and that's So, MC, what do you got for us? Thank you for being so patient. MC, are you there? Maybe MC got tired.
I'm not. I'm here.
Okay, there you go. So there you are.
I'm here.
So what's
Sorry
your deal?
about that.
Okay, you were very patient. Thank you for letting Conrad speak. Conrad came from another show where this guy was saying a bunch of whatever, and so he did the right thing and came and checked us out to find out for himself. But what do you got for us, MC?
Well, I have a haunted house that we lived in. When I was about, I have to say 5 or 6, my mother rented we were in a high rise. Now I'm from the East Coast, so this is New Jersey.
Oh.
And believe it or not, my mother was out with my stepfather, and of course, what would happen is there'd be a major fire. Like literally, I think we were on the 10th floor, and we could see the flames coming from the picture window. So the 3 of us in our pajamas, this had to be 3:00 in the morning, are running down the stairs. We get out, and we're actually in the road with the firefighters. So we had no place to live. So my mother was dating my stepfather, and he had a carriage house. They had a big house on 3 acres, which was like built in the 1920s, the big house, and then the carriage house. So this house was very strange. When you would walk in, the kitchen would be on the left side, like, facing the left side. And then there'd be this huge, like, staircase. And when you go up to the stairs, there'd be a room on the left and a huge room, like it would be like a living room type, another bedroom. And the weirdest thing about this house is that there was this weird fireplace, and we would hear noises all the time. My sister and I would open it up. It had the little, that ironclad, you open it and it's where they could clean it. And what happened was, this is from my mother's point of view. My mother was sleeping, and she swears she had music on in her room. And the music, nice soothing music, turned to this crazy evil. And she said that she couldn't even open her eyes. She said, if I would have opened my eyes, I think I would have seen the devil. And then after that, that horrible experience, my mother wound up getting a little terrier, a dog. We had the dog for 2 weeks, and the dog, it went crazy, like it went mad. This is in this house. All these events coming, like happening. And my mother was like, what am I going to do with this dog? And we found somebody that would take the dog, and then the dog went to one of our family members, and the dog was fine. But in the house, it went nuts. Then my brother was 2 years old, and my mother was watching him because we were on the second floor. My brother was pushed down the stairs.
Oh,
Now
wow.
we're talking a good, we're talking like 15 stairs, because this is like, a carriage house. He went into convulsions. We had to rush to the hospital. My mother's like, that's it. I'm out of this house. I'm out. And it just, like, I don't know if it's a family thing, a family curse thing, but every house that we always went into, except for the one house that my father built, because my father was in real estate at the time. And like, I think I emailed you about a house that we wound up having in upstate New York.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got that email.
Probably.
Now, do you read?
I think I remember reading. There's a bunch of. I get a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, this was in Hudson County. Do you remember the book called The Contact?
I don't think I've ever read it. No.
Okay. Well, this guy documented there were numerous, and if you go back and you look in New York State, you will see that in Hudson County, New York, there were multiple UF sightings around that time. Numerous. So my parents decided, with all the stuff going on with that house and craziness, and then we got to the one house and it was fine and whatever. And then my father says, I want to buy a farm. So my parents were looking in upstate New York, and we found this beautiful house. The house was built in the 1700s, 26 acres. House had 3 fireplaces, and I don't know if you know what the gables are. There's these, they're like these, A type structures on the top of the house, like all over. It looks kind of Gothic looking, but it was built in the 1700s, and it had, I guess it was a Dutch family that bought it and restored it and took care of it. But this house was the darkest house I think we were ever in, because every time we would come home, we would smell.
We lost her.
Am I there?
No, you kind of blinked out for a second, then you got back. So
keep going. Keep going. That was getting really good. Like, so it was
please.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm on a Samsung. I'm on an Android.
That's okay. Better than Apple.
Yeah. So anyway, this house, of course, it had 4 bathrooms, 10 bedrooms. It was horrible. It was a really old house. In the basement, there were chains in the basement. The chains were for slaves.
Oh, man.
I had no idea. My parents had no ideas. The contractors went down there because the house flooded the basement. And when my parents were like, what are these on the walls? And he said, you know what those are, don't you? And well, for animals or something? No, those were for slaves. So we know we had issues because we saw that. And when the smells kept happening, it was becoming, you would go into a room and you would feel so uncomfortable that it would be comfortable. And then all of a sudden the temperature dropped and the thermometer would, would go from 68 down to like 44 in less than 6 hours. Every single room, okay? Every room, and it was updated because we had the contractor in there and, they were trying to fix it, but it's just with that, everything was just too much. But that's not the worst part. We rescued 2 horses. We rescued a donkey and a baby horse. And the donkey, of course, went crazy. And it kicked my sister and it wound up attacking the dog. It killed one of our dogs that we had to actually send the donkey away. Wow. So, it's just all these negative things that followed. It was just, so my parents said, okay, I said to my mother, I want to get my own horse that I can ride. So I was talking to my gym teacher and he was selling his horse. And it was a 16 hands high Palomino Morgan. Big, beautiful horse, sweet as can be. And I hated putting the tack on him. Like I just liked riding him bareback because I could just jump. I mean, I'm tiny, so I would there'd be like this little wooden thing where I could just step on it and just jump on him. And I would just go walking all over the property with him. So one day I had to put him back in the stalls. He came out he wanted to come out at like 8:00 at night and everything's like fenced in. Like I said, the whole pasture area was it was about 1.5 acres. And the horses had water and they had all their, we had an alfalfa field. They had everything. So we wound up going away. Like we had our friends stay there and we went to visit my grandmother or something. We came back 2 days later and we get a call from the person babysitting. There's a problem with Champ. I'm like, well, what do you mean there's a problem? Something attacked him. So we go down and I'm freaking out. I'm like, what happened to him? We go down and he has scratch marks on the back flank. Now, he's 16 hands high. So the only thing we could think of would be coyotes, because how the hell could they're not that big there. You can't expect it. I don't know how they would get on. And this is a big horse, it's not a little horse. So we called the vet. He comes over and he says, I don't know. He says, I don't know what the hell did this. And I said, well, could it be like a German Shepherd or Great Dane or some kind of a Mastiff and he's like, well, he says, I can't, a dog wouldn't do this. A dog would go for the legs. Mm-hmm. The dog, it wouldn't go up to the hindquarters. There's no way that dog could get up on hindquarters. He said, if they're going to bite and they're going to attack on the bottom of the feet. He says, I don't know what this is. He said, I'm sorry. He says, what we can do is we'll dress the wounds. I'm going to give him antibiotic and shots and tetanus and everything else. So we did that. And it was just it was just unbelievable. So then my parents decided we had 12 chickens. Okay. And my father built a thing where the chickens could be high up on the rafters instead of lower in the boxes because he wanted more protection for them because of the attack on my horses, because we didn't know what was happening at that time. So we went up getting fantail pigeons and we had them in a dog crate, a steel dog crate, fantail pigeons, like 6 babies were in there. We get down, one day we come down to the barn, every single, the cage, the door is like ripped off. The babies are the feathers are everywhere. And my father's like, this is a steel. This wasn't an aluminum cage. This was a steel, like a dog crate. Because the guy brought the fantails over that day. I only had them for 4 days. That's it. It was just, and I'm trying to think, I'm like saying to myself, is this a curse? Is this something following us? Is there like I can't understand this. It's just heartbreaking to have the animals get attacked now.
Yeah.
On this property, it was a very strange property. It also had a carriage house. So we had my aunt and uncle come up and stay in the other carriage house. And my aunt and uncle would drink sometimes, and we were a very close family. A lot of us hung out together. So we had like a barbecue one night, and my aunt and uncle go back to their house, and then they go in there at like midnight, and then my uncle comes running over at 3 a.m. He's like, I can't find Dee. I'm like, my mother's like, what do you mean? He says, I can't find Dee. The car is here. Her pocketbook is here. Her shoes are here. And so then we're like, oh my God, what happened? Like, what the hell happened? So we are out looking for my aunt on 26 acres. Okay. We were everywhere, all of us, the kids, my uncle, flashlight, you name it. And we were at the point that we have to call 911 because we're going on 2 hours now. So this was like 4:30 in the morning. She comes walking up with scratches and burrows and in her hair and her clothes. And we're saying, where were you? What's going on? We've been out here for 4 hours. What did you do? I don't know. This man took me into the woods. And we're like, what? Were you drinking? Were you on drugs? What is going on here? My mother was furious because all of us kids had to witness this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not something.
Conrad, is that you? I don't know what.
Oh, sorry, dude. There's like a massive snowstorm out here.
I'm sorry.
No. It's just there's like a beeping noise or something.
Oh, sorry. That's like a giant snowplow outside.
Wow, dude. So yeah, because it's cold here, but not real cold. But it got down to 51, and it was just like yesterday. It was like 70 something, 80 something. Yeah, 51 is not cold, but I'm saying like the temperature dropped like 30 something degrees in one day.
We've gotten in the past like 2 days, it's like 4 feet of snow hit like all overnight basically. Now it's coming down really bad again.
Yeah, it's supposed to get down into the 20s and 30s like at the end of the week, and I'm going like, damn, that quick, like because it was like in the 70s, 80s, and it had gotten cold into the 40s, and then it got, oh no, it's going to be warm again, and now it just dropped like boom, like I don't know, it's probably going to be in the 40s and 30s, and then they always say the worst,
Winter's officially here, man.
Yeah, it is. It's going to get. And in the last few years here in Texas, it's got down, to this like a consistent in the 20s and teens, which is very cold for Texas. And then it's even gotten down below zero, which was ridiculous like 2-3 years ago. And we had this big ice storm, and it destroyed everything because, North Texas, they're used to the cold and the ice and everything and the snow, because I used to live up in Northwest Texas. And it would be way colder than it is down here. But down here, you're not prepared for it. So when it happened here, people died. I mean, simple as that. People were not prepared for it to get down to -3. I mean, they were not prepared for that. And I'll be honest, man, it sleets and snows here the last few years, and they're still just like looking at it. They're just like, well, that sucks. Like, yeah, we should be prepared for this because it keeps happening. Burning up in the summer and freezing to death in the winter, and it's just like they're still not really doing things they should be doing, like they'll salt the streets or whatever, but that's it. And then they just say, well, don't go anywhere, don't drive, You know, hopefully he won't die. And you're like, what is wrong with it? You know, it's like, dude, like every year somebody's, you know, and I'm not laughing at the death, but people die from this because they're not prepared. But anyway,
Dude, when it's bad, I refuse to drive, man, because there's so many dumbasses driving on the roads. You just do not even want to mess around.
Mm-hmm. And imagine here in Texas. You know, here in Texas, they don't give a damn. It's like, well, sleet, you know, well, ice, 80 miles an hour, you know, and you're just sitting there going like, what is wrong with these people? Like, you know, like it was raining really bad today, and you know, it's not as bad up here in the suburbs, but down in the city, dude, yeah, these people they drive like absolute butt, dude. I mean, it is terrible. And I don't know why that is, but Austin, they always blame, well, the Californians and the Chicago people. Yeah, they screwed some things up here, but it was going on long before that because I moved here when I was 16 and people were driving like ass then. I mean, it was terrible. So I don't know what Austin's deal is. They just like to wreck into each other. Yesterday, I had my nephew's truck and I went to the mall and I had to pick something up because Christmas is around the corner, right? And so I go to the friend of mine has a jewelry place, whatever. And I come back out and there's a note on the truck and somebody backed into us and hit the bumper and his truck's not even a year old. And so there's already the smushed in bumper. They're like, sorry, but you were slightly over the line. And I'm going like, I look and I'm like, no, we're not. And so the lady was nice, but you know, her daughter did it and said, well, she said your truck was over. I was like, ma'am, no, it wasn't. Okay. People in Austin just drive like crap. You go out there, good luck with having a nice vehicle because they'll make it ugly real quick. I mean, it's already happened so many times to everything we have. So, but anyway, I just heard the beeping noise. But MC, you were talking and you were telling us about your stuff that was
my aunt being lost in the woods, and she said, "Well, I don't want to." It's okay. There's nothing he can do about it.
So, what happened? Your aunt got lost in the woods, and then
She said some man took her into the woods.
What did the man look like? Who was this guy? Like
it was an old. She couldn't say. She said he was an old. He just took her by the hand and said, "Come with me," and she went. And we were all freaking out. We didn't know why she went, and we're like, "What is going on here?" And now we're in this crazy place in upstate New York. The place is called Kinderhook. It's called Kinderhook, New York. And it sounds exactly the way you would think it was, Dutch, colonial, and it was like, it's like where you live, Josh. It's all country. There's no street lights. Like you drive down country roads and they're not even paved, some of them down there.
Well, actually, that's my ranch. I have two places. I have a ranch out near, but then so I have an in-town place. I'm in town right now. My brother's out at the ranch.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the stories. We could never get it out of her. All I know is that she was out of it. She literally slept for 2 days after that, and she didn't know why she went there. She didn't know why she did it. We were just baffled. So now my uncle would be like, "You're not," he'd make sure that, did you sleepwalk? Did this happen? He took her to the doctor, and she says, "I've never done that in my life." So nobody could figure it out.
And did somebody ask Cleopatra Rain says, did your aunt say was he wearing a hat? Do you know anything about it?
No, he was an old man with white hair in old clothes, like around the early 1900s. That's what she said. He was an older man with, 1920s type clothing.
Yeah. So he would
we have no idea.
So he looked like Clyde McCoy.
I don't know.
Conrad's picture there that he's got up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like this guy with like a top hat on or something.
Oh my God.
Like, hey, come with me. Hey, let's go to
Oh.
a Lander. But I'm not making light of it. But it's just it sounds like a creepy old man that could, God, there used to be a house in my hometown, and it was my friend that lived there. It was a creepy old house. And it was right there by the middle school where the middle school used to be. And I lived right by the middle school when my parents had split up. And I swear, man, we would go and stay at my friend Randy's house. And he lives way out in the country now, maybe 20 miles from my ranch. But when he lived in that house, like I would go over there and we'd have sleepovers and stuff, me and a couple of our other friends. And more than one occasion, people saw like this creepy old man that would be down in the kitchen. And I just remember one night my friend Clay went downstairs to go grab something, and he came running back up the stairs and said there was a creepy old man standing there in a gray robe. This is what he said. And he was in the kitchen looking up at him. And so we all ran down there together with like bats. We had our little league bats. And so we were like teenage, like 13 years old. And I think the oldest was Randy's brother, Ricky, who I think was 15, and I was like 13, and one of our friends was 12. So we all run down there, like 4 or 5 of us. And there's nobody there, but it happened pretty consistently because his mother claimed that a really creepy old man came in there and grabbed her by her feet and tried to pull her off the bed. And
Oh man.
his mother would just tell us stuff, like she was a single mom, and she would just like, drink a little bit of wine, and then she would just start talking about all these creepy things that would happen to her. It would scare the crap out of us, dude. You're just going like, this was before I saw that wolf-like creature, but there was already like a lot of stories, and that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow on the show. We're gonna talk about stories from in and around my hometown. Involving these creatures. I finally got my friend Jason after years and years. One of my friends is an electrician. He came by and we know these people and we kind of talked about it a little bit. But I finally got to reach out to him, and he lives out on the other side of Houston. And after all these years, he gave me the whole story. Because my friend Aaron he still to this day would not tell me, and it happened near his house. But he wouldn't tell me the story. He goes, nah, man, and he's living up in Washington growing marijuana as he does. But he told me, he's like, I'm not gonna talk about it, bro. He goes, it's just, and when they were teenagers when this happened, he didn't smoke or anything back then. So it's not like he was inebriated, but he told me, he goes, when I talk about it, bro, he goes, I get nightmares, and so I could never get him to talk about it. Finally, I got a hold of Jason. And Jason was avoiding me because his ex-wife told him that we were good friends. And I'm like, I haven't talked to your ex-wife in 20 years, bro. So he thought that we were like buddies or something. And because they're, he said, well, I thought you were all friends with her. And so, that's why I just avoided you. I said, dude, I haven't talked to her in 20 years, man. So I finally got through to him, and he gave me his story. And there's a couple other people who I'd like to get their stories, but these are from my hometown. So that's coming out tomorrow on the live stream. Also on the live stream tomorrow, one of them, I want to pay tribute to my friend Ramon, who passed away, and he gave me a really creepy, freaky story a month before he passed away recently. And he just out of the blue hit me up because his cousin Adam is one of my best friends, and he said, hey, I'm going through some stuff. My liver is shutting down, blah, blah, blah. I want to tell you my encounter before I go. And he hung on. He lived for several more months. But, it was pretty terrifying. And there again, he didn't like talking about it because people don't always like to talk about this kind of stuff because it's pretty scary.
Oh, it is scary.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, when you say paranormal, when everything's involved with it, there's whether it's a dog man, whether it's a haunted house, whether it's aliens, it's all connected.
There you go. What's up, buddy? What's up, Banjo? Yeah, it is all connected. I tell everybody that too. Banjo hasn't been feeling too good lately. You want to say hi?
Oh, look at him.
He's a sweet little boy. We got him, MC, from a job site. Somebody dumped this dog off. As cute as he is. Look at that. Why would you?
Oh my God, how adorable. Well, Josh, I rescue, so that's my thing. So I've
Yeah.
rescued over 50 animals. I
That's
worked
awesome.
for a no-kill shelter for
That's
15
awesome.
years. Yeah,
I
with a
volunteered for
veterinarian.
a while. Yeah.
But I want to also let you know,
There you go.
I sent you an email regarding a shelter situation. And I want you to read it because it's really important. There's a shelter in San Antonio where there are dogs being euthanized every single day. And the volunteers are really upset. And I've done some work on my end through the rescue groups by me. But if you could put the word out, if somebody could just take a dog and foster it, these dogs are highly adoptable.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad because the girls, and if people go on TikTok and go to the channel Rescue 911, and it's a shelter in San Antonio. And I know, Josh, you're in Texas. So if you could please just get the word out.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and also I need to put the link up for the owl. We had the owl that we took care of. He's doing much better, and I got a lot of.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they released him. He got released. They named him Wolfie. That was cool. You know?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we
Nice.
had him in the studio, and he was a gentle little dude, man. And I think
they're smart. They're very smart. I had a baby deer in my house. I had a crow. I had them all.
Yeah,
they all show up at my house.
Well, they know you're a decent person, as obviously, because animals are a good judge of character. I tell people that.
Oh yeah,
freaking out and growling and hissing, and
I trust them more than people most of the time.
Yeah, trust their instincts, man. Yeah, the owl was really cool. He was a cool little dude. We had to take care of him for about 3 days, and it turned out he had a dislocated shoulder wing, whatever, and his wing was kind of hanging down. But he was real cool, man. Like he let us, handle him, and the people there were really surprised that he was that cool. That they were in shock that he didn't try to bite us or claw us or anything. But we on the show, we've had our rabbits on the show, we've had our guinea pigs, our ferrets. We've had.
I know you guys are the greatest. You and Nellie you and the boys are wonderful to do what you do. Because let me tell you, a lot of people really don't care, and I know you care, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, animals are definitely, to me, it's a gift.
It is.
Like God has allowed
it truly is.
Your life. Yeah.
Right. And they're the ones that make you the people you are. It's a shame that if people were around more animals, I guarantee they'd be a lot happier people.
Yeah, and just getting to know an animal is something that you can learn from because it doesn't judge you. It's not mean. It just, it's just unconditional love. And I think that Edgar Casey, the Sleeping Prophet, I've talked about him. He talked about how around this time, that we were going to start to see animals come into our lives that were going to teach us, and they are going to be, according to him, people that have transcended and come back as pets. And that is a weird thing. I mean, like people will say, well, that's crazy, that's not real, or whatever. But, whether it's your opinion or whatever, that's what Casey said. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe it's not, that's correct. Because I know our cats and our dogs and all of our pets have just taught me over the years, our birds, everything about life and about being nice and kind. And I know that you guys have seen me at my wit's end and snapping on these people, but a man is a man, and you can only take so much. But I can definitely tell you, look at people, and I love people, but damn, sometimes it gets. I know.
Been there, done that. I know. Been through that.
You only can take so much, and then you just blow. I'm just saying.
Well, one of the good things tonight, Conrad. I mean, he showed up and talked about the whole Wendigo thing. That is a weird. We've had some stories. We've done some work on that too. I would say Conrad,
I gotta hear some of the older stories, man.
Yeah. the guy for that to me would be Chad Lewis, and we talked about him earlier, and somebody in the chat said something. It was interesting because I said Chad Lewis about the ghosts because Chad Lewis told me, he says, you should write about ghosts. You've had these encounters. That's what you should make your next book, because it's a lot of people buy his ghost books. And it's interesting that somebody said in the chat about him being the Wendigo guy, and then you come on and start talking about Wendigos. No coincidences. So even though the guy was running me down and saying nasty things earlier, you coming on and talking about that, I think is not a coincidence. I'd definitely like to have you come on and, or maybe we can record and have some of your stories on there, because every Friday we're bringing on somebody's encounters, or a series of encounters. And I definitely like experiencers, people who have had multiple experiences with different types of phenomena, because it's all connected. And I'm telling you, one of the reasons why I got attacked so hard was because I came out the gate saying that. And I had those people and the Bigfoot people and the cryptid community and the UFO community telling me, stay in your lane, pick a lane. And I'm like, I'm not going to stay in my lane. I'm not going to pick a lane, because it's all connected.
Dude, it's
all the
absolutely
supernatural world.
Yeah.
It's all the paranormal, man. It's all connected, like, together. Like, everything like that I've seen tells me that it has to be connected. Like, I don't think it's me specifically that's like the reason that these things like that I've seen so many things. I think it's like certain locations are nexus points, or they're gateways to the paranormal. Certain specific locations, like I'm sorry, I forget your name. You were just telling your story about the ghosts in your house.
Oh, MC.
We want. All right, I was going to say like MC. It's like MC said that, like, there's in her house, like, she had multiple encounters with strange things. And I think it was basically the same thing with me. I grew up in the woods in rural Ontario, and I just had endless bizarre encounters. Since I moved out of that place, and I'm now like up in northern Ontario, I haven't had anywhere near what used to happen to me down when I was in southern Ontario in a rural area. It's crazy. It's like, I think where I grew up, there was something about that land that was cursed.
I definitely think that land can become cursed. And one of the things that, when we were living in this house down in South Austin, we found out later on that there were some deaths that had occurred there while I was living there. I didn't want to know. And one of my friends who was a police officer was like, hey, you want me to tell you? And I'm like, no, please don't. When I move out, then you can tell me, then I'll put the pieces together. I didn't want to know. And so I know that blood and emotions saturate the environment. And I know that if there is violence that takes place, or if there is murders, things like that take place. One of the things, I was told some weird story very recently, about a guy who worked at a slaughterhouse here in East Central Texas. And he worked there for 13 years. Now, me personally, I couldn't be around that. There's nothing, it would probably destroy I couldn't do it. And so, it's one thing to be a fighter, but it's another thing to be a killer and to be somebody who can just easily. And this guy, he didn't actually execute the animals, but he processed them afterwards. But he said that there were weird things that would happen. It wasn't a real big place. It wasn't a huge plant or whatever. And it's still in operation to this day. It's kind of a little out in the country plant, But he said that there were multiple times when he saw what he thought were, and get this, the ghosts of these animals wandering around. And, when he told me that, his name's Carl. And I said, Carl, what do you think? He says, well, it got to the point toward the end there where he could see them like pretty often. And he realized these animals have souls. And even though we have to eat, and I understand that, he just couldn't do it anymore. And eventually he started having dreams. And, he goes, dude, I'm not a schizophrenic. He sounds like a very grounded person. I mean, he doesn't sound like he's crazy. But he says, I started having these dreams and I started seeing the animals, in my dreams. He goes, and I started walking into the woods in my dreams, and these animals would follow me out into this clearing, and then they would go and be. He goes, and then I realized I don't think it was a dream. I think it was actually happening, and I was taking them to the other side because they were confused and lost, and it was happening like all the time to the point where he couldn't go there anymore. He couldn't work anymore, and so one day he just called in, and then he called in, and eventually he just quit. And so,
Oh man,
yeah,
dude, the whole thing is you know, we ended up moving out, like we had like a lot of land, right? And we ended up getting out of the house like that we lived in like our whole lives. And you know, when we moved out, like I was thinking about telling the people who were buying the place the truth of it, but I didn't think and they would believe anything that I would have told them about the property. And what ended up happening to the family was like really messed up, man. Like the family that like ended up living in the house, man. The day that they finally took possession of the house and did all their renovations, like ripping down like half the old house that we had, um, their son died. The day that they were taking possession and moving into the house, the wife
Oh,
ended up in
God.
a mental institution, and after the
Oh,
son
that's
died,
bad.
and the father ended up going to jail, all within about a few months of taking possession of the house. So I think whatever energy kind of like was in possession of the property that had been messing with us our entire lives, I think it reacted strongly against the people who ended up moving into the place. They would have just thought I was crazy if I brought any of this stuff up when we were moving out, and they would have just thought I was insane. But I wanted to warn them, this place isn't right. There's something wrong with this entire land. You know, like.
Yeah. How long did y'all live there?
Since about 1991. We lived there until about 2019. It was like a huge property, though, like with multiple like houses, buildings on it, and everything. And parents had to sell it, and we moved up north, and it was my entire life basically was at that place. And since I got out of there, though, dude, I do not have I couldn't even go for a walk in the woods there at night, man. I haven't had that problem since I got my place up north here in Ontario. I'm in a place called Sudbury in kind of northern Ontario. And I used to live down in southern Ontario, and that's where we lived on this property, and we had just endless issues, man. Like, none of my buddies that would ever come over would want to go into the woods or go for walks at night or even have campfires after what happened to us in 2006, where we had that Bigfoot encounter. Like I believe in cursed land, and that place was absolutely cursed.
What you're talking about too, and the audience can relate. I know because there's so many people who know. People have come on and talked about this, and we've talked about it on the show. There'll be a haunting, in the house, but the land around it will have cryptid activity.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And that happens so often that, I was sitting there when I first got into this field like 10 years ago. I was sitting there going like, how do these people not notice this stuff? How do the Bigfooters and the ghost people that just seem to despise each other? How do they not? It's just so bizarre. Like,
dude, I've seen a ghost, man. I've seen a ghost. But it wasn't a ghost like you could imagine. It looked like a man. It didn't look like an apparition or anything like that. This was maybe 2007. And I'm sitting there with my girlfriend. We hear footsteps coming down the staircase behind us. I turn around and I see a man come down the staircase. and he just walks down the stairs, and then there's a hallway that goes towards 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. And I turn around, and I just look at the guy, and he doesn't even pay any attention to me. He just walks down the hallway, and there's no exit from those 2 bedrooms and that bathroom. It's like kind of like on a ground floor, like off like a hill. So it's kind of like built into the hill there. And I had gone up and I was like, "Did you hear that?" And my girlfriend said, "Yeah, she heard it." I told her to stand in the hallway, or where whoever would come out would have to exit. And I looked into the bathroom, looked into the bedroom, and then looked into the second bedroom, looked in the closets. I looked everywhere. There was nobody there. But I literally saw a man come down that staircase clear as day. I don't exactly remember what his face looked like, but he was like a white guy. And I specifically remember he had a what do you call one of those jackets? It's like kind of like a biker jacket from like the 1970s, like an Indian jacket that has those like leather tassel
Yeah, I
little
know what you're
bits.
talking about.
He was wearing one of those, and it was the weirdest thing, man. Like it's almost like I thought it was like a person coming down, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this?" And he vanished. There was nobody there. We both heard it, so it's not like it's just like me coming up with all this stuff. Like other people, many of the different encounters that I had, there were people with me at that time.
Yeah.
Like, so I know it's just not me coming up with this or being insane or something like that, like, which would be a good explanation that I'm just crazy.
Well, you know, the thing, Conrad, is that a lot of people that we've had on the show, like, you know, I've interviewed these people, you know, in private, or I've retold their encounters or whatnot, and they can bring other people. Like somebody will tell me, "Hey, you know, I know you think I'm crazy," and I always say, "Look, man, I interviewed 1,000 people. Like, I don't think you're crazy, but if you do have someone else that can correlate, you know, that corroborate your story, that's great." And then they'll give you other people, and that's how I ended up. If anybody is familiar with the Vampire Confessions, if anybody's familiar with that episode, it got like tons of views. But that guy, I met him from the guy from the Werewolf Confessions, and that guy, I met him through this couple that had an encounter in Florida, near Tallahassee. And I met them through a guy named Nathan that had encounters in Alabama with Bigfoot. And I've told all their stories. And Nathan was just like, "Hey, you know, kind of off the cuff." He goes, "Would you like to talk to somebody that has encountered a vampire?" And I said, "Sure." And so then it just one thing led to another. And when I interviewed Joel, he was the most riveting. Like, he was just like, "Man, look, dude, I was in a cult, and it was not like you think. It was really, really evil, and we were vampires. This was no cosplaying, you know, bullcrap where they're just pretending to be Twilight or whatever. They were really bad people." And then I started getting threatened by this other guy, Rex Rude, who people know, you know, that guy. He's another crazy stalker. But yeah, I mean, he was evil, and he was talking about, you know, interacting with the Vril reptoids, but he knew a lot about the, you know, if he wasn't knowing what I know about science, if he was not legit, then he sure does. He probably has a degree in, you know, something involving science, because the guy knew everything. Like, I mean, I couldn't believe how well read this guy was and how intelligent he was. But like he said, though, he goes, "I look like I'm 40, but I'm 200 and something, you know." And you can say, "Well, this is crazy. I don't believe this." And if you would have told me this maybe even a few years ago, I would have been like, "Okay, you know, I don't know about all that." But knowing what I know now and how far we've come with the research and everything, that and the people that we've interviewed and the people that are now involved, you know, and I've kind of turned some of these people over to other people to talk to and document things. I absolutely believe that this stuff is real. And I think that what we thought was the real reality really isn't the real reality. That the real reality is a lot more, as we call it, paranormal than we thought it was. You got some weird stuff out there. And I think magic is just science that we can't comprehend or we haven't figured out yet. But I think we're on the right track. But the closer we get to the over the target, the more flack we get. And we get attacked very hardcore from people, you know. And it's like driven. I think they're NPCs myself, but
I honestly don't think that 90% of people, like there's a 10% there that like is the complete exception, but I think that 90% of people, unless they have their own bizarre, messed up paranormal experience of their own, 90% of people are just gonna think anyone who has had an experience is crazy or is making it up. Now, there's certainly a lot of people that do make up stories, but I don't think everyone is. Like, there's too much synchronicity in these different stories that all line up, and a lot of people don't want to come forward with their stories. Like, I've never gone public with any of the crazy stuff that happened to me because. I told my buddies, and I regretted telling my buddies some of the weird stuff that happened to me. Girlfriends, I regret it. So I stopped doing it like 15, 16 years ago. I just don't tell people this stuff.
Yeah, and that's a shame because I think that there's a concerted effort in our society. I talk about our world as in like, it's a matrix. We're like, but I believe that this is a simulation within a simulation. I honestly believe that. And I believe that what ends up happening is, if you've ever seen The Matrix, the Smiths, they're like these NPCs, and I think they show up to harass and harangue and mess with people. The Matrix sends them, and I don't think they even really know that they're being used. Some of them maybe, but most of them don't, and they attack to keep you from gaining knowledge. Christ, Jesus tells us that we die for lack of knowledge. That's one of the things that I always talk about, and I tell people. We die for lack of knowledge, and the wages of sin is death. Well, it goes hand in hand, because if you don't have the knowledge, you're wholly ignorant, and I mean WH, not H. So you're completely ignorant, and you're dying because of sin. But it's because you're doing it because you don't have the knowledge of what is right and wrong. And I think that there has been a misconception with the Bible and with everything else. One of the things that got me attacked very heavily was because I translated the Bible correctly. And there are people who don't like that. They want to believe that the Bible is a certain way and blah, blah, blah. And when you challenge that, boy, they get mad. And then they're very ignorant themselves. And then they come after you because you're translating, the Bible. But if you asked them what the Pentateuch was or the Septuagint, they wouldn't know what the heck one was from the other. They wouldn't know what the Tanakh is. They wouldn't know or understand any of this. And when I said something on my show about Yahweh being a dragon, now I'm not saying I believe that, but that's what was written by the ancient Hebrews. And somebody just flipped out on me, started messaging me, telling me all kinds of crap. I'm going to hell. And I said, he goes, where are you getting this from? I said, that's from the oral tradition of the Hebrews. And it was written down into a book called the Tanakh. That's what they believe. And so then he stopped because I guess he looked it up and said, well, it does say that. When David cries out to Yahweh, Yahweh is very much a dragon. And, I don't, no doubt that the priesthood of Judea is the one that wrote that. That doesn't mean that that's really what it was, because they were also doing sacrifices. And Ezekiel, he says, hey, I don't need this. You keep doing this. I'm not asking for this. But it was the priesthood's way of keeping control and getting monetary gain, which the Catholic Church and other churches continued. And so do the Muslims. And I've said these things, and of course I get attacked. But it's like the truth is some kind of like illness or something. They don't want to catch it. They'd go wear 3 masks on their face to keep the truth hitting them. And they're the ones sitting in their vehicle by themselves, scared to death that the truth is going to come in and give them the real reality, and you're just like, dude, these people are crazy. They're nuts. They go nuts on me. I get death threats like all the time. And I literally posted them, on my Facebook. I posted it right there from one of these lunatics, his followers threatening to kill me, to burn my house down, to kill me and my wife. These people call me a heretic and an apostate. And I'm like, dude, I am just trying to find the truth. And I'm putting it out there every time I come on the show, and they don't like it. They don't like it. It's like holy water. They're just a vampire. Like, ah. And so they freak out, but I also forgive them because they're ignorant. You know, they don't realize what they're doing. I think a lot of them are just they're doing these vile, bad things, but to them, they're attacking me with some sort of righteous anger because they're not really understanding. But then you have a handful of them who do know, and they just enjoy being evil and want to see the world burn. And unfortunately, those ones they infect everybody else, and then they go crazy and do all kinds of horrible things, and then they disrupt what we're trying to do. And people like MC and you, Conrad, and Sparky, and everybody that gets on here and talks about their encounters, you don't get that because you have to spend all this time, like Sparky said earlier, you know, answering the bell for their attacks. Like, well, this person said that you did this and that, and you got to go, that's not true. Blah 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 blah, and you got to defend, and so you're spending all this good time.
And a lot of the problems we have, I think honestly, it's just people. They're like, now he's my friend, and so like I would call you out, Wolf, if you did something bad. I'd be like, hey, dude, pull you aside. It's like that was wrong. Let's go apologize. We screwed up. These kind of people, once they have a friend, they don't even judge. They're just like, I'm gonna stand behind him like 100% no matter what. And if he doesn't like somebody, I just go after him. I mean, that's why we tease about being a cult, because it is, if you look at the definition, it's just a whole bunch of people going after one thing as an ideology, or what do you want to call it, without any reason whatsoever. It's just, they're all just behind each other doing one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sad if you think about it, because nobody's thinking for themselves, or, you know, even looking at like anything themselves. They're just taking somebody's word for it and going on.
Yeah, and I've encouraged people on this show. I'd do a disservice to everybody if I didn't tell you to go and do your own research. You know, this isn't a cult where you got to believe it. And I don't tell people who to be friends with. That's another myth they created. I don't tell people. I just say, look, there's certain people, if you're going to associate with them, I don't want to be a part of it. You can go and be a part of whatever, but the darkness on people will rub off on you. It really will. And then,
well, that's the difference. Is like, I don't have to be friends with your friends. And still,
yeah.
But if you're dealing with somebody who's a drug dealer, I might just say, you know what, I'm going to back off because I don't want any part of that, because that will bleed on to me. That's the difference.
Yeah. And when someone is frauding, like this guy up in Oklahoma, I'm not going to say his name right now, but that's who that host that Conrad, the show that you were on, that guy is cutting for that dude. And that dude he's done a lot of stuff, dude. And I'm not even trying to bash the guy. I'm just being honest. I mean, he has been caught committing fraud and hoax multiple times, throwing a rock and pretending he was Bigfoot. It was caught on camera, you know, and there was several.
Wait. Who's the guy that was throwing the rock that
should we tell him, Sparky, or should I, I don't know. I don't want to, because these people are
I dig it if you don't want to like give a signal boost the guy.
Yeah, because I don't want to make more.
Don't say his name. Yeah,
we call him Ike, and that's because he's like Ike Clinton from the Tombstone, you know. But we call him Ike, but he was caught doing that, and then he literally had a person. I'm not joking or making this up. The audience can tell you there's a ton of these people that'll tell you about him. And so he was caught with a person in a bunny suit pretending like it was a cryptid. This kind of stuff makes us look bad, real bad.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it gets worse. So he was on what would you call it? A ghost? I don't know, cryptid ghost. I don't know what he was doing, but he was whispering into the microphone saying, "Mommy, no," and saying that this demon was saying Christian, and I'm doing.
Wait, somebody did a video on this. I think somebody did a video and just broke all that down. I think.
Oh, dude, yeah,
I'm pretty sure somebody did one. I think somebody did.
Pretty sure a guy named Sparky did. But yeah, there's been a bunch of people who've come forward and was like, dude, this guy has, he's a fraud. I mean, he's a hoaxer. He's a Bigfoot hoaxer and a grifter. I mean, he does this. He gathers donations for his son, and then he doesn't give the son anything. And then he attacks me because on his son's birthday, because he does nothing for this kid, we gave all of our donations to the son. It was over $400, and I gave it to the son. And then they said that was weird, and that I'm some kind of creepy guy or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to prove a point here that you can do good. You don't have to be an
And
evil,
you can see the video of where he bought a new monitor, a new keyboard, a new mouse for his computer setup. He was happy. I mean, he was very grateful. It was cool.
Yeah. And so I thought, we'll do the right thing, and we can show the community that you can do the right thing. And all morality aside, folks, why would you support a person who's been caught hoaxing? That just, to me, there are all these people backing this guy up, but not all these, but there's some, and you're going like, do you not see how unhealthy this is for the community? Like, I don't even understand how that could be misconstrued when he's been busted doing this multiple times, and then he lies about everything, claiming he's former law enforcement, and he's not. I mean, give me a break. I mean, and then this guy tonight, he's just up there calling me a POS. I'm like, he's not even like giving me a chance to come on and talk about it. And I had some questions for him. And I'm not going to scream and yell. I'm just going to be like, sir, let me ask you this. What about this, this, and this? Can you explain this? He can't. He just refers to this other lady who made some videos about us talking trash. And all it is their assumptions. There's no proof. And they're talking about, oh, there were texts. Yeah, he's talking about someone's personal life. That's what she's talking about. When that woman that she was referring to about the text, she attacked me. She's now one of our best friends, and I forgave her. I don't care what that woman said about me. They keep bringing it up that she attacked me. I don't care what she said, because they trick people. They con people into hurting and attacking me. And that's fine. I just say, look, Jesus says to forgive, but how many times did we forgive? 1,000 times 1,000. He tells Peter that you should forgive. That's what you're supposed to do. But there is a limit that you have. You reach a point of like, I've had enough of your crap, and you're going to say something. And, and the other day I said something, and they used it against me. Who cares? I mean, it's going to keep going, because if I don't put my foot down and just sue the hell out of these people, then it's never going to end. I don't want to fight these people. I don't want to sue them, but I'm going to have to, because they just won't stop. And I'm not the only person they attack. They attack multiple channels, and then they cry when those people fight back. They want a punching bag. And I'm
glad I'm not like I don't even really have a YouTube channel with any videos public anymore. I just kind of stay in the background, man, and do not draw attention.
Probably the best. It's a little late for me.
Yeah, now you're in deep, man, where you are a target by these people, man. Like,
yeah.
Well, Doc, I'm going to get going. I just want to thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you, eh?
And I appreciate it. And please, my thoughts and prayers to Nellie, and blessings to you and your family.
I appreciate it. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
I did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Have a good night.
Thank you, MC.
Good night.
All right. But so on Mondays we have an open line. Anybody can come on, and I've thrown the line out there, and I've told these people, if you want to come on and hash it out and talk like adults, come on and let's talk. Nobody's going to overtalk you like they did Sparky. Nobody's going to attack you. I'm not going to let my chat go crazy on you, because we can get 500-600.
They won't mute you either.
Yeah, I mean, we get Sundays. We could get 500-600 people in the chat, easily. And I think our record is like a little over 1,000 people in the chat. We've had a lot of people, and I don't let people go crazy and say mean and horrible things to people. We're not fake. We don't use AI fake story crap. We don't have somebody writing stories. We don't have buying subs or views. We don't buy likes or comments. We're real. It's all real.
It seems like an organic community, man. Like, that's like, you can tell when people are faking that kind of stuff. And I tend to, there's just so many people doing this stuff that are faking videos. They're faking. Mm-hmm. It's like that Ghost Encounters thing where they just had people bumping stuff, or those those goofball Southern guys that were setting up giant log traps for Bigfoot in the woods and then faking. There's just so much fraud and like deception in this field, man. It's why I've always like tried to like avoid getting into it, because I can just like I don't know, maybe it's like getting too late for me because fuck, it's already late here, but like because I'm on like the East Coast, but like I can tell instantly when somebody's telling a fake story, like specifically when it comes to aliens. Like I can tell when somebody's telling a fake story, man. I can like just sense it out when they start bringing up certain things that don't mean, and that somebody like that's seen like an alien wouldn't bring up. Like I can just read it, and it takes me 30 seconds half the time. So like I've seen so many UFO or like a close encounter, like so-called experiencers, people who claim they've seen like an alien, like had a close encounter of the third kind, and I can tell instantly if they're lying or not. It's like a sixth sense, man, and I can tell 90% of people are coming up with or lying about their stories, man, and that's why I just avoid it.
Never had an alien abduction or anything like that. I mean, like I said, I've had this weird wolf-like creature. And I've been honest, like I told people, like they ask me, have you ever encountered it again? And I say, yes. And then they'll go, but you said you never saw it again. And I said, I didn't see it again. I didn't see it. I saw something in this place that I used to work at that looked like, I think it was mimicking it because it was my fear. I think that's what that was. I think it was demonic. But this other encounter I had, I was working, and I'm not going to get into a long story here because I've told the story before, but this is for you, Conrad. And Sparky, you probably haven't heard this, but I was working security at this facility where they were building retirement homes. And we had this contract with these guys, and I ended up having to work it and it was 24/7, 7 days a week. So I was having hell trying to get somebody to work to relieve me. So at one point I spent 4 days there. Obviously, I didn't stay awake the whole time. And I told Mark, the guy that was in charge, I said, Mark, you got to understand. I mean, and it was under construction, so it was just me. But I said, I'm not going to be able to stay awake, because he was like, but I got to have 24. I was like, I'll do whatever I can. I got the cameras, whatever. And it was years ago, and so, it was a commission, a non-com or commission site you could, wear or not carry, whatever. And so I went out, and I was real tired, and I wandered outside unarmed, and I wasn't even thinking, and so I walked around the building, and it's a huge complex. I've taken Nellie, Anthony, Tony, and everybody there and showed them, and I walked around the outside, and when I went by the woods, now there's all kinds of stuff built around it, because this was like in 2007, 8, something like that. 2008. And I walked around the complex, and I was sitting there going like, dude, I keep feeling like there's something in these woods. And I had walked out there 100 times and didn't feel anything. But that night, maybe I was just really tired, I felt like there was something there. And then I heard something. And as I walked by the woods, I saw the bushes kind of move. And it was like, I was like, whoa. And it was like late September. So it was a little bit warm. And I thought the only thing I could say, I thought maybe I saw somebody in a coat, but it was too big to be a human. So I thought, why would they be wearing a coat, third week of September or whatever it was, mid 2000s. And I was like, what in the hell was that? And I was unarmed. And so I'm just like, dude, all I got is some pepper spray. And I'm like, this is awesome. I'm not even wearing my duty belt. And so I just kept walking, and I started praying, and I said, God, protect me in the name of Christ, whatever that is. And it didn't stop there. When I got inside, there were these 2 sliding doors, and I locked them. And I went and sat down at the front behind the desk, and I fully expected to see something walk out in front of those doors and try to get in, because I felt like there was something there. And when I closed my eyes, I saw what I saw when I was 15, and I thought, whoa. And that wasn't even on my radar, just like it just happened. And so that happened. And then there was another time when I was living in my house down in South Austin a few years before that. I think that one was around 2001. I felt like this thing was in my backyard, and my dog was whimpering and acting weird, and he didn't want to go outside. He even went to the back door and barked and growled, and I was so taken by fear, which isn't like me to just be afraid, that I didn't even get up from the couch because I needed to get up. It freaked me out, dude. So I don't know, I think maybe, and in my mind's eye, that's what I saw was that creature. So,
there's a lot of people that actually look in your head and it's like, what really freaked you out? What are you most scared of? That's why I say is like, if Bigfoot's popular, you're gonna see Bigfoot. If Wolfman or Mothman's popular, you're gonna see Mothman, because there's a lot of things that do that.
Yeah. When you talk to some of these people too, like what you were saying, Conrad, like there are people who I've stopped people in the middle of their, telling me a story, and I'm just like, yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies. I hate that. I hate to do that. And there are a few people who I've agreed. I said, look, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm not going to use this. And they're like, oh, you think I'm lying? Well, yeah, but I don't want to fight you about it, And then one of them in particular, he went on another person's show, and I heard him telling that story, and it sounded clear and it sounded fluid, but when he was telling me, it changed like 2 or 3 times over 2 conversations. And I thought, I'm not going to say his name, but I mean, I was like, okay, so maybe he got it straight, and maybe he was really nervous. So I didn't go at that guy, but he took a shot at me one time, and I was just like, okay. I thought that was pretty not nice of him to do that, because I could have been really nasty and told the whole community, hey, this guy's lying, because I still to this day think he was. And then there was another guy who this is I'm almost embarrassed to tell it. I'll be honest. This guy had me going, man. He was from Massachusetts, and and my wife will laugh, and but it's embarrassing to me because I mean, like I thought, man, this guy had some amazing stuff, and he was telling it like it was straight legit. Like this guy was like, yeah, man, I saw this creature and I did, this stuff. Then the third time I talked to him, it was 3 days of like an hour each, and I was getting all of the information so I could retell it, because he was like, I don't want to tell it. You tell it really good. He starts telling me, and this guy kind of was a little bit stalkerish, so I had to block him everywhere. Hopefully he's moved on, but he started telling me that this dog man was a female, and I thought, okay, it was a female. And he says, well, it had teats, and he goes, I'm not going to lie, it was a little bit attractive. And I'm like, what? And like, it just, the whole thing just kind of went into another realm. And I was like, wait, what? And so I'm sitting there listening to this guy, and he starts telling me, he goes, yeah, you probably think I'm weird, but yeah, I've always kind of been attracted to like monsters and stuff, he goes like, and he starts talking about the Bride of Frankenstein. I'm like, yeah, but the Bride of Frankenstein was like a woman, you're talking about like an anthropomorphic animal type, like, what is this, And he goes, well, I'm a bit of a furry. And then he starts, so he goes, this thing actually was attractive to me. I hate to tell you that, and he goes, and then it wanted to breed with me and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, and I said, I'm not gonna talk about that. And he goes, well, we can leave that part out of it. I said, I'm not talking about any of it. I've wasted, 3 hours, 4 hours of my life, talking about it. And Nelly can tell you, and it just, we laugh about it, but it's, holy crap, dude. I mean, you're sitting there going like, dude, you wasted my time. You wasted hours I'm not going to get back, and time is the currency of this world. And I told him, I said, I'm not interested. And he went off, dude. He flipped out and, went on and said a bunch of crap about me and used,
That's crazy, dude. That is crazy.
And that the sad thing is, maybe this thing did, I don't know, but I'm not going to get up there and tell all these weird details of this weird shit that this guy's telling me, and then when I didn't, I'm a piece of shit and I'm this and I'm that, and you're a sorry fucker and all that. I'm like, dude, whatever, man. You believe what you want to believe. And he goes, I know what happened. I said, yeah, you know what happened, whatever. But I personally don't believe that this thing was doing that. I don't believe that. I mean, in all the years I've done this, I don't think I've even gotten one story where a dog man tried to do, now I've heard of Bigfoot doing stuff, but dog man.
Rare. And that's old. That's really old.
Yeah,
and it's rare.
and it's hard to talk about that. And and Nellie, there's Nellie, and she says, I didn't believe that guy. And I'm like, I don't either. So I just told them, but he told the other parts of his stuff were very like clear and concise. Like it was hard. I'm I feel stupid because he suckered me in with that. But typically though, something will come out. Not always, but
man,
usually
like,
there'll be.
Like I've seen something weird, man. Like, and if I've seen something as weird as what I saw, I don't discount that that every single crazy thing that I hear is a lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that some people have seen really bizarre stuff, and some of it's real. Like some of it's just so out there though that I can't believe it. Like personally, what affects me most or what annoys me most is people having, telling their close encounter of the third kind story and like me instantly discounting it, because like I feel like I'm not going to beat around the bush. Like I saw an alien when I was a kid, man. And that's kind of what got me into all of this stuff in the first place. And I take it personally. Like people telling their close encounter stories, I take it personally. Like if somebody's lying and I can tell they're lying, it makes me mad, man. Like more than anything.
What you saw an alien? So what was the context? What did it look like? What was the scenario? What happened?
It was bizarre, man. It was 1995 or 1996. And I saw it outside my window. It came it's kind of a long story, but like the whole thing took place over a period of about 3 hours. Like the full story, basically. I'll make it as quick as possible. Like I woke up needing to flip over my pillow because I always would get a sweaty pillow, and it was the middle of the summer at the time. Not sure exactly what time it was at night, but I think it was past 1, maybe 2, 3, 4 in the morning. It was somewhere in between that time when like the encounter started. It went on for 3 hours, so it probably was like 1 o'clock at night. I remember we were doing renovations, and I was like 6 o'clock. I was 6 years old at the time. So I wake up having to flip my pillow, and right as I'm getting up to flip my pillow, I see something come out of the woods. And you gotta kind of put yourself in the picture here. Like I'm kind of like I'm maybe about 4 feet from a 10 by 10 window. And on the other side of the window is kind of like a hill that kind of slopes downwards, and it's all trees in the background. And I could see something coming out of the woods. It comes right up to my window, and when I knew that the thing was coming right up to the window, I threw the blankets over my head, leaving a tiny crack in my blanket to watch whatever the hell was coming out of the woods. And the thing came right up to the window. Now my bed is 4 feet from the window, and whatever it was maybe about 3 or 4 feet from the window as well. So it was like equal dip. So it was like about 8 feet from me. And the thing was like something out of this world. It wasn't like something you'd see in like an alien movie. Well, some movies get kind of close to it, but never precise or exactly what it looked like. And we basically just had a stare down for about 2.5 hours or so.
Wow.
I was terrified. I remember it all like it was yesterday. I remember the thing in every detail. I'm just kind of hesitant to go into the exact details of what the thing looks like, because as far as I can tell, nobody's ever reported seeing something exactly like what I saw. Some people get close. You probably would understand like the different references to it if you were to see the different depictions people have that claim that they've seen something like it, but it's never exactly like what I saw. And yeah, it went on for 2.5 hours. I remember specifically repeating in in my head over and over again that I'm going to stay up all night. I'm not moving from here. Like, this thing is going to know if I even move an inch. And once I started saying that to myself, I passed right out, not into sleep. And I was in a dream, sitting out on the lawn. It was nighttime still, with the ground sloping, and my entire family was in these old lawn chairs that we had. And I just remember in the dream, going see my granddad specifically sitting there, like, who's my Native American granddad, and I go up to him and I'm just like, "What's going on? Why is everyone here?" And my granddad just says to me, "Don't be afraid." And I look up over my shoulder, and the thing that was standing outside of my window was in my dream. I then wake up, and my blankets are all off me that I've been hiding under for the last 2.5 hours, and the thing's outside my window still. And I took the blankets and threw them right back over me, but it was not a really good hiding position anymore. I knew now the thing knew I was there, and it watched me for another 15 minutes and left. And I somehow passed out maybe half an hour to an hour later, just shaking, scared out of my wits, basically.
How old were you?
I was maybe like 6 or 7 years old at the time.
God, what a horrible thing. Whenever people tell me when they're really young that they have to see these things, that's the worst, because, man, you don't have any kind of and when you're a child like that too, you're just very vulnerable, and I think these entities look for that.
See, like, well, looking back on it now, like, as terrifying as the thing was, to see it when I was a kid, I don't think it meant me any harm at all. I don't think that it meant to, like, scare me. When I started repeating in my head over and over and over again, "I'm not going to sleep. This thing's going to do something if I pass out." And in my dream, my granddad just saying, "Don't be afraid." I think that it wanted me to calm down and relax and not be as scared as I was. I don't think the thing was malicious. It wasn't like an alien. It wasn't like a gray alien or some kind of reptilian like you hear all these stories. It wasn't humanoid. It was like something out of an H.P. Lovecraft. It is as close as I really want to get to the exact depiction of what I saw. It was something out of an H.P. Lovecraft horror book or something.
What makes in that case, and I have this question: what makes you say alien and not like monster?
The thing was like it was a creature. It wasn't some kind of like I know it was a living being. When I say alien, it's because what I saw was just so out of this world. It wasn't like it wasn't even humanoid. It was like it was just the most bizarre. Like, I would tell you privately, man. I would tell you exactly what the thing looked like, and
Okay.
it's just.
Yeah, I get it.
It's just like when it comes to close encounters, like, that was mine, and I can tell instantly when people are lying about theirs because they go into these bizarre details about stuff that means nothing, basically. Like, when you're in that kind of state of mind, like just pure terror, like it's the most bizarre feeling you can imagine. Like, it's you don't want to do anything. Like, you don't, like, I was sweating buckets, like, underneath those blankets. Like, I never wanted to flip my pillow over more than I did that night. Like, I was soaked, sweating, just looking, terrified that this thing knew I was there, and it knew I was there the whole time. Looking back on it.
And people have different reactions too. Like, I know a guy, and I've known this guy for years. He worked with him. His name's Justin. I've known him forever. And he told me a story that was very similar. He lived out near Manor, and right outside of Austin, very rural at that time. And he saw something and that looked like a goat man. And nobody made fun of him about it when he was in school. It happened when he was like 10 years old. But the interesting thing about his encounter was that there is a goat man that is said to reside there in right outside of Maynard. There's a story about it, and there's a creek and everything that people refer to it, and so when he saw that, when he was a child, he had heard the stories, but he didn't he got up to get something to drink and use the bathroom. Said it was like 2:33 in the morning. He couldn't remember exactly when. And it was a school night, and he was like trying to lay back down, and he sees this thing because where his bedroom was, there was a kitchen. He could see into the kitchen, and then through the kitchen window by the sink, there was this creature staring at him. And of course, of course, it has these weird, it has this weird sort of like glow about it. It was like bluish looking, but he said that when it turned to the side, he saw the profile had like a muzzle, and he thought it was wolf-like at first, but then it turned back, and he saw the horns, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" And so it kind of did what you did. And I know this guy. He used to work with us and for us, and he worked for my friend Arash at his bar. And he told me, he says, I sat there and I stared at it for like hours, and then he said all of a sudden, the next thing you know, it was daylight. And then he was, he left or whatever. He had, what's going on, Justice? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. You doing okay, Josh?
I'm doing all right. You recovering? You still in the recovery phases?
Oh yeah, I've fully recovered. I plan to go get exercise at some point.
Well, that's a plan you better go and get done, because it's real easy to not do. I can tell you that. And so I lift weights all the time, and it
Well,
really
I
helps
just
me.
don't get me the wrong way with this. I just don't want to be fat.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, who does? I mean, nobody wants to be fat. I mean, so I go out and I lift weights and I do all kinds of stuff, and I try to encourage others, because I'm 50 and I'm not just,
Oh yeah.
real gray haired and everything. And I think that it
I feel
definitely is the
I feel like you lifting weights is actually like an inspiration to me because I feel like I can actually do it as well. And I've been
what do
like
you got there in
I
your
feel
hand? What is that?
cigarette.
You're smoking a Marlboro Red. Isn't that a Marlboro Red there?
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm a smoker, so
Not good.
I smoke cigarettes.
Yeah,
I
I'm a
mean,
smoker too,
I'm not
dude.
judging.
I'm a smoker too, man.
Not judging. I care about you. I don't want you to, you got to stop at some point. Nicotine is the most addictive substance known to man. Some people say that
It,
it's heroin, and I said no, it's nicotine. Definitely not good. Not a
it's
good thing.
definitely nicotine. I was talking to uh, Jen, who I live with. She's the woman who raised me.
Mhm.
I was talking to her, and she said the same thing. But I'm like, yeah, like it's hard to quit cigarettes. Like I've tried a couple of times, and I've even been on medication, and it's not worked out for
You got
me.
to have a motivation though. Like I quit dipping snuff, which is way more potent than cigarettes. And I was driving back from the coast, and everybody was asleep in the truck. And I was, you have a spit cup, and I picked it up, and when I spit into it, it was all blood. And I look
Oh,
over, and Millie's, she's laying there in the seat next to me. My wife, she's asleep. I mean, she's asleep. She looks like a little angel. And I looked over, and I saw Anthony and Tony in the back asleep. And I said, God, what am I doing? I need to stop. Can you help me? And I asked God in the name of Christ. I said, I want to quit. And I did. I just did. I just quit. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody can do that, but I took the dip and I threw it out the window, and I never bought another can. And man, it was hell. I was grumpy for a week, but you know, once you lock yourself in the room and chain yourself to the wall, you got no choice. I'm joking. I didn't. But it's very difficult to quit. 24 years I dipped snuff off and on
I
over 24
wanted
years.
to ask you something. I briefly brought this up to you on Messenger, aka like Facebook and everything.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to bring up something that I watched. Um, there's a story under wartime stories on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
Um,
good channel.
that yeah, they talked about the devil in Honduras, the giant snake, essentially, where
Mhm.
they thought it was a boat at first, and then like they went down to investigate, and it just like it was a giant snake, and it ate a cow, and then there
Yeah,
was
it
a
ate a cow.
story where
That's the El Diablo, as they call it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So what is your question?
Do you think that like I've heard stories of these things existing in South America and even the Congos and stuff in Africa, but like they're so rarely seen.
Probably because most of those are aquatic and they live a big part of their life in the water. That would be my reasoning with that. And there are stories abound about all kinds of snakes, spiders, whatever. In the Congo, in particular, there is a type of spider that is known. I mean, it's known amongst the Congolese people. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm
Or
coughing.
somebody. Oh, okay. I thought you were saying something. So there are stories, and I know that Wartime Stories actually covered one of those. The guy's an ex-Marine. He's pretty charismatic. I like his show, and he talks about this group of Congolese soldiers, Belgian soldiers, that got attacked by this giant spider. And there are tons and tons of stories of this thing. I don't like to say the name because I butcher the pronunciation, but it's called the Jabai Fofi.
Oh yeah,
Jabai. Yeah.
I've heard of those before.
So yeah, it's a giant spider that is said to live in Africa. And having been there, not to the Congo, but to other parts of it, I could tell you there are some massive spiders. I saw creatures there that nobody's ever talked about. And I'm like, not creatures, but different species of snakes and spiders. And I'm going like, what is that? Pretty sure science doesn't even know they exist. But there are places like Guatemala too, the jungles of Guatemala, that have these giant birds. They call them corta cabeza, which is like a head chopper, and they are the size of people. And they swear up and down that those things exist. You know, I know that the Piaroa Indians in South America revere this giant spider that's literally it spans a dinner plate, and it's so big that it hisses like a snake, and it can throw its hair like barbs at you. They'll stick into your flesh, and this thing goes and drinks water like a dog. It's a weird. I've seen videos of it. It's a real thing, and it is giant, and it is the fangs are like 3 inches. It is it's like that. It's crazy. It's a massive animal, and it is deadly. It's a terrible thing, but they catch these things. They go and they take a piece of wood or whatever, and or a weed, and they'll mess with the burrow, and it'll come out, and then they'll snatch it up, and then they wrap it in banana leaves, and they keep them. You know, for a couple of days, they'll be walking around, and then they'll go and they'll puncture them, and some of them are females with eggs, and they'll make like a bitter omelet out of it, and then they'll eat the spider, taking the abdomen off, and then they'll eat the rest of it. It's
like
crazy.
It's like something from like the Carboniferous period or something like that, like back when there was all giant insects running around, like giant centipedes and what do you call like giant dragonflies.
I think it's that's a good point, Conrad. I think because what is there is the oxygen is so potent, because they're in the middle of the rainforest, so there's a lot more oxygen, and there's a giant canopy everywhere. So the oxygen kind of, and I think that it lends to these creatures being bigger. And I know people will say, well, the oxygen was more blah, blah, blah during these times, whatever. And then the Younger Dryas and, the Pleistocene, whatever, things changed and megafauna began to, but I think some places they still see these things. The taiga region in Russia, where they see the god bear. This thing is a massive animal. People say it stands up. It's 10, 12 feet. Well, that's a prehistoric animal from the late Pleistocene era. Should have gone extinct, but maybe it didn't. And then these people see these tigers. in the Indus Valley, and in the area right below Nepal. I forgot what it's called. We did a show about it, the Sundarban. And these tigers, they weigh in at like 500, 600 pounds, and you're going like, no way, dude, no way. But people swear they see them all the time. And these look like something prehistoric. The front fangs look too long, not like a Smilodon, but like there were multiple different iterations of these things. It must have been a very effective creature, that particular form, because there were multiple saber-toothed animals. Smilodon just tended to be the most popular. And you had all these different animals that went extinct, like Amphision. I mean, you're going like, thank God they're extinct. But if you look at
They were Discovery Channel, or like something like that, was talking about a cryptid that's in North Carolina that looks like a big cat. But like they're talking about the fact that like cougars aren't typically found in North Carolina, and the fact that like of like the coloration and what it looks like, and I'm just like, that shit sounds like a saber-toothed tiger to me because it has elongated canines and stuff. So I
if
was
you,
like, huh.
I don't know if anybody here has watched Ken Gerhardt's show, Missing in Alaska. Ken Gerhardt, a very good friend of mine, a very famous cryptid researcher. Ken helped me put on 2 conferences together. And we did very well with those conferences. We got a lot of people. We discussed this on the show when he was on Missing in Alaska. He covered one of the creatures on the episodes was the Amarok, which is like this native. They believe in this creature. It's like a wolf with like scales on its back. It's weird. We did
That's
one
cool.
recently. I don't know if you guys remember the Croc Killer episode. I don't know if Anthony, I don't know if we could pull it up. I could, let me look up on my phone. I'll show you what the episode looks like. This is an episode you should go and check out if you're into this, the prehistoric animal thing, because I don't know what this thing was. The guy that gave me the story swears up and down that he brought it back from south of the border. Let me look it up real quick.
I've got like a weird theory about why so many people see paranormal things here in North America compared to other places on Earth. I don't know why thinking. Like, I think it's everywhere, yeah. But I think that more. But I think more so than anywhere else. I think North America, there's some kind of weird energy to this place or something, man.
Well, yeah, like everywhere is haunted until it isn't. Like there's spirits in like everywhere and entities and stuff. So like no place is truly unhaunted. And that's like the bad part about like the astral and the spiritual and stuff like that is like everywhere has something. You can't go into one single place and not have an entity there unless you clean it out. Like, like
Yeah,
I'm very spiritual adept.
correct.
Well, also, if you think
And-
about it, like if you talk
It
about
looks like this
Dragonline-
right here. Let me show you. The
Hold on.
Croc Killer. It says reptile from
Oh,
another
yeah.
planet. It's
Alright.
called the Croc Killer.
What's
But
the
if you
name of that?
And
What's
anyway-
the name of that YouTube channel?
Which one?
The one that you just put on a second ago.
Paranormal Roundtable. That's us.
Yeah,
No.
it's his
Oh, so
video.
that. Oh, wow. That's a great little JPEG there, then, man. Jeez.
Yeah. We have we're not a rinky-dink channel. We have like
No, is that AI? How'd you do that?
Yeah, it's AI. Yeah, the only thing we do with AI is the little video, whatever the thumbnails. Yeah, but it's called the Croc Killer. That, and my nephews and my godson, they help with the channel, and so it's a family thing, and so we all work together, and and we interview people, and like I said, sometimes people get really weird. Tony was interviewing a guy one time, and the guy was more interested in Tony than he was talking about the And I was just like, okay, yeah. So things get kind of weird sometimes. This community has some weird stuff in it, but you know, I try to do the best I can with the research and the knowledge and everything, and disseminating it. If you hang around, Conrad, and you check out the show and whatever, you'll see these people that say all these things or whatever. To me, it's spite and jealousy, because they can't do what we do. But the problem with that, though, is that's not correct. They could, but they don't. And I don't think that everybody has to have a really high IQ or whatever. It helps if you do, but there are things that people could do, and I do all of this. I have a ranch and I have 2 jobs. I own businesses and I still do this. So I don't know what these people's excuse is. They attack me all the time and say I'm this and I'm that, but at least I'm working. None of them have jobs. That's the thing. I think of all of them, maybe one has a job and the rest of them, they don't work. And so they have time to sit around and just make videos about you and worry about what you're doing. And it's like, if everybody would focus on their channels and their books and do what I do, imagine how much more the community could be without the infighting and all the bull crap. We could do so much. I mean, there could be so much if we work together. We could we've postulated on a lot of theories about this stuff too. About what each one of these things could be. And, instead we get disruption and all this crap, But
See, man,
at Paranormal Roundtable, that's what we're about, is the knowledge. Go ahead.
dude, like, I'd love to watch your stuff. You guys go live 5 o'clock Mondays?
No, on Monday we go live usually around 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Okay.
I'm always late. Because I'm always working. And then I got to do the show and then go to work. But Monday, typically, I try to get off so I can go late into the night. And then Sunday was always our flagship show. That's when we do 8 o'clock, 7 to 8 o'clock. Tomorrow we're going to go a little bit earlier, folks. If you're listening tomorrow, we got to go a little bit earlier because I got to go to work later. So, because I have to do a patrol because I own a security company and everybody's off this weekend and they work a lot. So I just said, you know what, I'll work every day so these people can be off. So we all work. And shout out to Tony and Maddie and Adrian and Anthony, everybody who's working to let the people be off. I appreciate that. And then on Wednesday we do a show, and then Thursdays we either have a members only. We just started. We went behind a paywall with part of our material. We're probably going to go further into it because these people won't stop attacking us. So we're going to cut back on the live.
I was about to ask about those people, like why they're doing what they're doing and everything. Like I saw some of the stuff on there, and like I go by the name Malvicerus on Facebook Messenger. So like I've seen some of the stuff in the PRT group about it, and I've heard stuff like on video and everything, and like I can't help but feel like you can probably go through with the defamation trial because that's
Yeah.
essentially what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's essentially what they're doing, like all together. Like,
yeah, it's on
Doug,
display
like
every day.
that-
Every day they attack us every day. There's not a day that they don't, and they say the most horrible things they can come up with. And if it
yeah,
was just
I've
me,
seen a lot of that.
but they attack my wife, they attack my family. They tried to, and Conrad, you may think this is crazy, but most of the people in the chat can attest to this. They tried to pin felonies on me and my nephews. A woman from West Virginia who's works with the guy who's works lockstep with that guy that dude earlier tonight was cutting for. He refuses to look at any of the evidence we have. He's one-sided. He won't, but that woman lied and said that we committed a home invasion. And I'm like, there's no police report for this. There's no anything. She just blurted it out and made it up, and they took it as gospel and spread it all over the internet and said that me and my nephews tried to break into her house. She lives in West Virginia. I live in Texas.
Oh my God.
And there were people coming at me, saying that I was trying to assault a little old lady until they realize who this little old lady is. These aren't little old ladies. These are mean, nasty harpies
Yeah.
And I
And
draw the line. You could attack me and say whatever. The defamation is
I'm gonna
deep.
be real with you. You don't seem like a bad person at all.
Yeah, I don't
I've
picture
actually
you like going
gotten
for.
Wait, you got to get to know him
I've
first.
actually yeah, I have.
Yeah, I
I've
don't
been a
picture this guy
subscriber of the
busting into
channel for
people's houses.
like 4 years, Josh, something like that. Been a subscriber to PRT for like 4 years. It's weird, but like y'all don't seem like bad people. I've gotten to know y'all a little bit after like watching y'all streams and stuff and watch y'all hang out, Josh. But like this is really messed up because some people are just straight up slanderous. They'll just look you in the face and lie to your face and
Yeah.
everything and call you names. And they don't need a justification. Their justification is doing this evil on their own. And I can't tell you how much I don't like um, evil people or evil things. Like, it's despicable because I'm just like, it's always like not true evil, but like just evil in general, where they're like spilling lies and like slandering people, and it's stuff like that.
One of the things that they've been doing lately, and they've been saying that somebody's going to kill me, and one of them, she's been just pounding the drums on it and saying that I'm going to get shot and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, I don't I don't know whether that's something that they're planning or what they're talking about, but she's talking about this movie. I think it's called Talk Radio. I'm not sure if that's the name of it. I might be wrong. I can look it up. It's in PRT News. But she's talking about how in the end the guy gets shot in the parking lot. And one of my dear friends, Christopher Garitano, who's a filmmaker, and he's been on the show. Everybody knows he's made Haunting We Will Go. He's made the Dark Files. Gosh, what else has he done? Strange World, which was on I forgot what channel it was on, the Travel Channel. And there was another one he did it. Everybody, I always forget the Montauk Chronicles, and there's another one still. He has a podcast. Anyway, a very very good guy, filmmaker, nice guy, Chris Garitano. Check out his show, Off to the Witch. It's a podcast, and of course, The Haunting We Will Go is coming out. And I think it's going to be on. I want to say Paramount, but I'm not for sure if that's correct. But anyway, it's one of these networks. And he messaged me the other day and he says, you need to be really careful because he's been getting death threats too from some crazy person. There's nothing to do with this, but he said these people are very real and they're nuts. And he goes, and I can see what's happening. He goes, and I think that there could be something that they're going to try and do because they keep saying it, like they're overtly, they're just coming out and saying it, that somebody needs to do something to me.
If people are, if people are actually coming up with like legit death threats, like you can go to the cops with that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's illegal.
Yeah,
That's a threat against your life too. Like, but I also feel like they're all bark and no bite. Like they ain't gonna do anything.
Yeah,
well, I don't think that.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way too, dude.
Yeah. I don't think that they are. That's the thing. I don't think that the main people that are doing it, the Sinister Six, and then there's 2 or 3 others that have gotten really in there lately. The guy from tonight, and then that shell lady that claimed that that I was blackmailing my own friend, which is ridiculous. Those people, yeah, I don't think them themselves, but the things that they're saying are inciting other people to do it. And there are a ton of people. We read the death threats on the show the other night, on several of them, saying that they were going to burn our bodies and that they're going to light my house on fire. And, what do you want us to do? And one of them said, if you pull up on me, I'm going to do this. And I'm not going to pull up on you. I'm not going to do anything. I just want to be left the hell alone. And they're all talking about shooting me and, somebody's got to do something or whatever. And one guy actually went on Abe Seus's show and said he was going to SA my wife and that he was going to cut my head off. And we have it recorded. We've played part of it on the show, but because we played part of it on the show on what night was it? What is today? Saturday. We played it on Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving. We had to we got in trouble because the guy was cussing and making death threats and stuff. So we had to cut that out because I played it on the show, what he was saying, and it was just this vitriolic, I'm gonna kill you, mother effer. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And he said the N-word. He called my nephew an N-word, which my nephew's Hispanic, but whatever. I guess it's all the same to him. And then he said that he was going to do horrible things to me, and he's going to hang us from the trees and all this crap. And I played a little bit of it, but it was enough to be like, hey, you can't have that. So we had to go and cut it, and then we're going to re-release it. So everybody's been asking where that episode went. That's what happened because I played what he said just to prove that these people are that unhinged. And so
that's the problem, right? It's not just the people that you're dealing with. It's they're inciting people that are, some of them are not all there. And some of them think they would do the world justice if they went and actually did something like this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, coming from a law enforcement background, a lot of stuff happens because they get incited and they don't understand it's wrong to do that.
You see this kind of thing in cults. You see this kind of thing in cults where people like do stuff like this. And they're just like, oh, I'm going to attack this person just because so-and-so said that they don't like them.
Yeah.
It's always good to view both perspectives, but it's also always good to understand, like, if one is true and the other isn't, like, it's just like that, like people start up like bull crap like this. Like I've had people do it to me and I'm just like walking down the street, and it's just like people call me words like, like faggot and stuff like that. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Or like start talking about me being funny looking or something. I find it weird because people will say anything to get attention.
Well, if you look at a lot of them's channels too, it's a wasteland. So instead of trying to bring themselves up, bring their vibration up and bring everything up and vibe, they just would rather attack you and bring you down, because bringing you down is how they perceive that they can be on equal footing with you. And it's a shame, because if they really put as much effort into doing their shows as they do attacking us, they'd probably be, they might get a little bit of an audience, I mean,
Yeah,
I can attest to that.
If
you go on a channel like that, trust me, been there, done that multiple times. They just flood you with insults, mute you, talk over the top of you. It just keep going.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And the reason that Sparky was on there, folks, is because you were defending Elder Bearclaw, and she is a nice Native American woman. She's Blackfoot, and she was on there trying to reason with these maniacs and asking them why they were going after her mods. And the guy will not. He's just he's just not a nice person. And Sparky got on there to try to help her, and they just mobbed him and attacked him. And their chat is so, it's just so caustic. You can't, there's nothing good coming out of it. It's just a nightmare. And you had that guy tonight on there who had Conrad on, and heck, he's got Conrad on there who can talk about all this stuff, and he wants to go on a 2-hour rant about how I'm a piece of shit.
Bro, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I
was like, we felt bad because my wife was like, this guy doesn't know what he got into with this guy. He doesn't realize who this person, they don't realize who these people are, and they con people into getting on their show. And, and they say that I go after them or whatever. Well, the reason they mentioned Texas Front Porch, they don't like Tex, because when our friend Nick Valente, who runs the International Dogman Project, was going to go on their show, Tex was the one that reached out to Nick, and they blame me, but it was Tex. And Tex said, hey, man, this guy's nuts, dude. Don't, So the next thing you know, Tex was having an affair, and he was sleeping with some woman at my conference, and the conference was full of debauchery. And Abe Cias, who challenges them too, he was sleeping with some blonde-haired woman. They don't know who she was, but she was there. And I'm going like, dude, the people that were there drinking and acting a fool was them. They were the ones doing that. It was not necessarily the guy from Oklahoma, because he won't go anywhere in public because he's afraid. He's got a lot of enemies. And so, but one of the guys that's been attacking us, he was the one drinking and smoking, and acting a fool with these people. So when they talk about the debauchery, it's their own friends. That's the ones that are.
I mean, hold on. I'm missing something here. So they only know you online, and they think that they know you IRL, and they think that they know what you're doing IRL, when they probably don't. These fools probably don't even have their third eye opened, and they probably don't even have like a speck of sense on how to use their abilities, and they're probably baby witches, and they probably just like I don't know, like they're just making up stuff. Like that's how I feel.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's another one. Okay, so what did Scorpion say? So they accused Scorpion of cheating on his wife and said that his wife left him and all this stuff. He's never been married. He's come close, and but he's never been married. But that's crazy. And they said Nelly was cheating on Wolf, who was cheating too. I'm married and I didn't know it. My wife hates me. That's the.
Where are they getting
the real funny part about it is the only thing he knows about any of these people he's talking about is from what he hears about online, what he hears about from other people. He has never done any research. I can tell you that much because I have on both sides.
Well, yeah,
it's
because
very evident.
Yeah, when Sparky came onto the scene, we weren't like buddies. Sparky just said, "Look, man, I'm not on anybody's side. I'm going to research this." And I said, "Well, do what you got to do. Knock yourself out. You'll figure it out. You're a smart guy." And he did. And when he figured it out, he dropped the truth. They didn't like it because if anybody has a lick of sense, they will look and go, "Here's a guy that just wants to do his show, and him and his friends, they're not messing with them." And those people every day wake up and say something bad. And if you're not willing to let somebody get on there and say their piece, who's not unhinged, who's not trying to be whatever, just let me say what I got to say. Why are you afraid of the truth? These people won't do that.
This is the reason why I don't like talking to people a lot of times, because people do stupid crap like this. Involving the stuff involving them, like people do stupid crap like that, and I'm just like, it's not worth talking to people. Like I want to talk to good people. I want positivity in my life, and like I don't want to talk to someone who doesn't know what they're doing involving stuff, and I'm just like, and especially if they don't know the consequences. And the other thing is that lies are like spider webs.
Yeah.
So like these lies that they're spinning, they have to spin on more and more and more.
You got to remember them
in order to
if
make
they're lying. You
themselves
have to
look
remember
better.
what you said. Yeah.
You got to remember is like a lot of these guys are they're just plain bullies. They go around. They're used to like smaller channels. The guys have never really done a whole lot, and so they don't know how to do legal means. They don't know how to stand up for themselves, so they kind of get pushed around a lot, and they get just flooded with other people. He's getting to the point where now he's actually dealing with people that have had to deal with this a lot, and then a lot of us have backgrounds to solve issues.
Yeah.
And so now he's stepping back. Now he's trying to backpedal a little bit. He's trying to like divert everything and all that kind of crap. And that's when you can tell is like, that's when he's worried.
Well, I got into this whole thing with him because he attacked Abe and Bettina, but he had also, and I didn't know at the time, but he had attacked Ben Holler. He had attacked Jerry and Ella Williams. He had attacked multiple people, and he came and was trolling me. The earliest evidence we found, it was 2022, I believe, when that we saw, but I think it goes back further than that. I think the whole thing that guy and I was talking about with Vic, I think that he set me up with Vic because Vic just came out of the blue and said that I had said on my show that I didn't like him, and I never said that. I tried reaching out to him, and I was like, he ignored me, and I was like, "Why are you saying this?" And then he
To be
does it
honest,
on the day that my mother died.
they're probably just gonna fuck themselves over with all this mess.
Oh, they
And
already
like,
have. It's just got to go to court, you know. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You know, the whole thing with Vic, like what I was upset with Vic about was the way he did it. I mean, it was the day my mother died, and he said that, and he knows his listeners hang on his every word. So they all came at me like an angry hive of bees, and I'm like, dude, I'm already dealing with my mother's death, and now I got to deal with this. I never said that, but I know somebody told him that. Somebody put that in his mind, you know, and he was probably angry. But instead of doing his due diligence and going and
see,
looking on the show and
that's
seeing
the other thing. Like, where are they getting their information from about this?
because they
They've
just
got to
make
be
stuff
getting
up.
it from
But
somewhere.
hold on, let me say something, Justice. I got taken in too because I went after Jesse from Joe and Jesse from Hellbent Holler because of what Mike said. You know, because he says
Yeah.
it so fluidly, like he just says, "Oh yeah, they're trying to build an alliance against you," and they said this, they said that, blah blah blah, and you're listening to this, going like, "Really?" So you don't think that this person is just a deviant, lying piece of crap because you don't know them. So it was foolish of me, like I said before, to go in on them without because I thought this guy was telling the truth. He's probably what he did to the other people. He did that same thing, and then everybody starts fighting, and some people are still deceived into believing this man. And I think that guy tonight that had, you know, Conrad on his show, he's one of them. But he's a
Yeah.
nasty piece of work, man. He will not listen to reason. I've tried talking to the guy, and all he wants to do is cuss me and say horrible things about me. He made several videos mocking me. Before I ever responded, he had already made some videos talking shit. I didn't start it with him. He did. And he tries to tell everybody I did this and that. I just responded back to him because he kept on. But he doesn't he don't want to listen. He doesn't want to listen to reason. He doesn't. And I tried talking to the other guy that has been one from Kentucky. He was my friend who believed that I was this Hammer Austin or whatever. And I told him, I said, dude, I'm not going to play games and make a fake account to mess with you. I'm not that guy. And he, to me, I think he knows better. I think he wanted to go in on me because they filled his head full of shit that he could take all my listeners and, you know, whatever. And so he was willing to do it. And so, yeah, there's Madeline. That guy wants to hate Wolf. They want to hate me. So if you're wanting to do this, it's not hard for somebody to push you into it. And there's no excuse. They
Yeah.
can blame
That's
the guy,
really messed up.
whatever. The bottom line is it's on them for doing it. And it's going to be on them, all of them.
But I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get a drink really quickly.
Okay.
But I understand where you're coming from.
Bro, you gotta just record all this stuff and send it to the fucking cops, man. These people cops would have a field day, lawyers would have a field day, fucking these people over, man. They sound nuts, bro.
Yeah. And they really are because but we're still gathering more evidence because they keep producing it. Like it's unreal what they have with this crazy woman that says these videos or whatever with her buddy on there is like a flashlight to the sun compared to what we've compiled. They have no idea. Or maybe they do and they just don't care. They don't think that we will do anything. And they think because they're in another state that it won't, it's going to, because it's federal, it's going to go federal court. That's how you go after these people. There's not going to be anywhere to hide because, you know, you can't just ignore it. And I think that's what they think, you know, and so there has to be a conclusion. You have to set an example. I didn't want to have to do this or deal this or spend the money because it's expensive, but I have to now. And it's really hard to get somebody to do it, you know? So you just got to bite the bullet and you got to pay the money and you got to, you know, and it may affect the show some, and may have to deal with it, you know, but I hope that in the near future, once this is over with, that we can just get back on track and talk about this stuff instead of them and their attacks and their constant hate. Because, you know, like what happened tonight, I mean, I got told, hey, this guy's over there, he's saying all this stuff. He had attacked me on Facebook, so it didn't shock me that he was going off. And what they do is they'll clip it and make, whatever, and then bring it to you in another form. And they'll say that you started it and you did this. So they like to clip things that take it out of context instead of playing the whole video. And that's their thing. But guys, I got to run, man. It's been great. Sparky, thanks for jumping on. Let me get Justice back in. Justice, thank you for showing up. I hope you feel better. You're getting better. Move around.
Trying
Stop
to.
smoking so many cigarettes. Cut the cigarettes down, like maybe a little bit every day, maybe a little bit less. Work out, do what you got to do. You can do it, And Conrad, thanks for coming on, even though you had a very weird.
Yeah, it was a weird like initiation, man, to this whole scene, dude. I didn't even know your channel existed until that all went down earlier. I subbed that guy like a while ago, man, and like talked to him. I think I talked to him like a year or two ago, but he seemed kind of normal back then. Like we wasn't coming I didn't go into the transgender secret agent thing or any of that stuff, man.
What? I don't know what that is. The transgender secret agent? Like what? I didn't see that part. I only caught part of it.
Oh god, man! It was mental, man.
Because
I don't
believe.
Do what?
I don't believe in the idea of transgender because of the fact that, so when you're in the womb and you're still developing, before you develop your gender, you start off as a female. And honestly, to me, that says you pick your gender before you come into this world. So you are what you're supposed to be, and it's difficult because a lot of people don't understand this. You picked your gender before you came into and started walking on Earth again.
Well, so yeah, and anyway, like I was saying, I'm going to say, Justice, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you run, and then I'm going to say goodnight to everybody.
Yeah, I just realized the time, dude. You're right, bro.
Yeah. All right,
I've been yawning over for like 20 minutes over here. I'd like go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I just thought, after being woken up and then, because I had things I got to do today, I'm just going to go ahead and stay up and get them done. And then I thought, you know what, I'll just do the show early today and go back to sleep. But I just woke up to that nonsense, and I didn't know who Conrad was. And I was just like, why is this guy going in on me again? And I'm listening. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to type it on there. I said, look, dude, just bring me on your show and let's talk. Why can't you just talk like a person? Why does this have to be all of this nonsense? And he said, "Nah, man, F you, man. You're a piece of shit. Yeah,
dude,
man."
I was trying to get him to talk to you, man, and it was like a non-start, basically.
And he had another guy on there that he's not my friend, but he's not really, his friend either. And he's a pretty straight shooter, that other guy. And the other guy that was there kept telling him, bring him on. If you want to talk and say these things, because, and another thing too, the other guy, he's called out a lot of hoaxers, that other guy that was on there. And,
really?
Yeah, he's I'm not gonna say his name on there because I don't want to bring up a big old thing or whatever, but I'll tell you off camera, but he's called out a lot of hoaxers, and Mike has done some serious hoaxing. And here's this guy from
that's it mildly. That's such a nice way to say that.
That's a very nice way to say it. I could say a lot of other mean things, but he's done some serious hoaxing. And why is this guy hanging around with him? He's talking about, I'm sick of all these frauds and bad people in the community. You're hanging out with them, dude. Literally every ne'er-do-well in the whole community is right there up your ass. And you're sitting there talking about how you hate all these bad people. Well, stop hanging out with people that throw rocks and say it's Bigfoot. He's been caught on camera doing it. I mean, it's just crazy.
God, man. I can't believe what would go through somebody's mind to try and fake one of these things, man. Like, it's the entire thing is just so overwhelmed by these types of people, man. That's why I've never really wanted to get into it myself, and go public, man. It's because there's just so much of this standing, it just never ends, man.
And I do appreciate Conrad. I do appreciate you saying to him, "Hey, let him come on." You know, like I thought you were like his friend or something, and I thought, well, at least he's got like one normal friend. You know, it's like, I was like, if this guy at least if he hangs out with this guy, maybe he can, turn the corner, because it seemed like you wanted to talk about stuff and he wanted to talk about the drama, and I'm like, just bring it on and let's finish it and get it over with. I mean, why the hell?
I love this stuff, man. Like, I'm kind of getting back into it again. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't really thought about like all the stuff that happened to me back in the day, like for a long time. But like, I don't know. It's like winter, work slowed down, so it's like I'm just kind of getting back into this whole scene of like looking for people to talk to on YouTube and stuff. But man, I'm gonna love checking out your older stuff and look forward to seeing your live streams, bro, like whenever you go live.
Yeah,
you should actually talk to Wolf about some of your stories, and even throw up a YouTube channel and just tell him. Like, you don't have to get too far into it, just be able to put it out there.
One thing you'll learn about me too, Conrad, is that I don't discourage people from going to other people's shows or talking about other people's shows. To me, the more people that we talk about this and get it out there, the better, because you have somewhere to go to listen, and the more people that will come out and talk about it. I'm trying to solve the puzzles here, and that's what I want to do. I mean, that's my whole thing, man. And if we can get more people talking about it, so be it. I don't look at anybody as competition. We're a middling channel, 45, 46,000 people. We don't buy subs or anything like that. So there's some of these channels that look like they're big, but they're really not, because they buy subs. But there's some real good people doing real good work out there, real boots on the ground, and real, interaction and retelling of encounters, and having people come on and tell their encounters. I got a whole list of good people I could give you, Conrad, to tell you. There's 20, 30 people out there, or groups out there, that are doing real work. Don't let it be judged by these 4 or 5 morons that are lying and hoaxing and frauding and grifting.
That's the thing about that. Around the paranormal world and around the cryptid world, if you're not in the right group of people, it is really backbiting and is really just chaotic. You kind of have to make sure you kind of get away from those as much as you can, and then it's good.
Yeah,
everybody helps each other.
Well, guys, I wonder what's the best way to contact you guys. Like, you're not on do you guys not use Google Hangouts or anything like that?
No, I got an email though. You can email me, and everybody that sends their encounters and stuff. It's right there, Josh Turner at PRTpodcast.com, which, by the way, today I got an alert that somebody was messing with my deal. Yeah, and so I had to go in there because I was just like sitting there and my phone.
Go figure.
Yeah, and so they tried to. I don't say they because I don't know who they are, but somebody tried to mess with my password. They tried to change it. They tried to go in and get in, and so I was like, dude, that's great, because these people have just been attacking everybody, and so it just,
I believe they just did that to another person and hammered it so long they locked that account out.
But, and then the guy that we were talking about earlier too, he used someone else's material. It was these people from like Argentina or something like that. I can't.
It was Mexico.
They were from Mexico.
Yeah,
I thought they were Argentinians, but anyway, he did something with some people's material, and he used it and claimed it as his own. But those people have sued people, so I was hoping that they would do something, with him, because I'm so sick of his shit. The hoaxing and the frauding. So he tried to pass that off as his own work, and I'm not one of those people. Like, I get tons and tons of videos, but every time you repost one, it's like, oh, it's AI, oh, it's a fake, oh, these people are lying, and then they attack the people who. So I don't approve a lot of it in my groups. Even though it may look completely legit, we just don't know now with AI, and it's gotten worse. So I don't go by a lot of that. I don't really do a lot of that. That's just, unfortunately, you can't.
No, with the advent of AI, man, I'm just becoming more and more and more and more skeptical of anything that I see. Like, it's not like I wasn't already skeptical before, but now I just don't trust anything.
Now you have to look at it as where'd it come from?
Yeah.
Who did it? and what's their background of being honest about everything, and you really have to actually dive into all that stuff. Yeah. It's so hard now.
It's gonna get so much worse as time goes on, man. Like I already know there's so many sketchy fraudsters and in all aspects of the paranormal, like specifically, like I'm much more familiar with like kind of like the UFO side of things. Like I don't trust anybody that talks about it. Like there's like this Dave Wilcock guy, Steve Greer, just a bunch of. One of them got caught faking UFO, like mass UFO encounters, like with flares.
Corey Good.
Yeah, like the blue avian.
The blue avians. Yeah, Corey Good was another one. And when that was going on, I mean, I was sitting there telling people, like, dude, you know, yeah, there have been so many hoaxers and fraudsters, dude.
When all that stuff started up, I kind of did consider. I was like, well, if I actually did see something when I was like a kid, like, shouldn't I be like doing what these people do on YouTube? And then I just like, there's no point, man. Like, whatever my story is going to be drowned out by like endless fraudsters and like these crooks, like, and like the crazy people. Like, there's just like, it's just you're just drowned out by like these kinds of people, man. And that's what I feel like 90% of it is like these sketchy fraudsters, like con men. Like the craziest one to me will always be that David Wilcock guy and his fucking insane Trump deluded QAnon story where he claimed that Trump was going to arm the Q Patriots with laser weapons, and there was
it just got worse and worse, dude. Like it just kept getting worse and worse. Yeah,
like I'm not even joking. He literally said that the Trump is going to arm the Q Patriots and with laser weapons, and they're going to take the laser weapons and they're going to fight the reptoids and the Galactic Federation, human secret space program battle fleet is going to engage the reptoids over Earth and annihilate their fleet because the American government, thanks to Trump, who's working with the Galactic Federation. I'm not even fucking joking. Like this guy.
No, I mean, people bought into it. You know, like
that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. There was a lot of people that were buying into this, and they were like, "Oh, these people, they've already taken Hillary and Obama, and they've been executed, and blah blah blah." No, they're still talking shit. They're still around being stupid. And to me, I'm not these people that think that the Bushes are good and the Clintons are bad, or they think the Clintons are good and the Bushes are bad. I'm like, do you not see them playing golf together? They're all on the same team. Like,
exactly,
hello.
Man. Dude. So, but it was this stuff years ago. I was like, fuck, I'm never gonna talk about this stuff ever, man. Like, I'm just gonna be lumped in with David Wilcock. I'm gonna be seen as like a lunatic, basically.
Yeah, or Corey Good. Yeah.
Exactly.
I would definitely just promote you to, at minimum, talk to Wolf, give him your stuff, so that way, you know, he can help you get it out there. If not, open a channel and just do some recording. Just sit behind it, record yourself. You can put a backdrop. You don't have to put your face or anything else.
Couldn't be any worse than with the channel you were on earlier with that guy.
Yeah, I mean, fucking.
You're not going to do any worse than that guy. I mean, that's like, I was thinking, this guy talks articulate, and why is he there with that guy? I was, dude, you know.
Bro, because when I see a live stream come up,
cockroaches.
Dude, when I see a live stream come up, I was like, oh, well, like I'll go on this guy's live stream. It looks like it's public, and then it just went sideways, like in like about a minute and a half flat. Man, it was just like straight into fucking all these people's names I've never heard of. Like,
well, and you know what he did? He did that because he's been messing with me the last couple of days, but he believes this guy up in Oklahoma. He's really like one of his disciples. And when you look at them, they have a derangement syndrome. I mean, like they are so committed to attacking me, and I'm going like, I'll do shows and, you know, for a week straight and not say shit, and then they won't stop, and then I got to stop and I got to address it. Like Sparky said, you have to say something because they have come up with, I beat women. One of them, oh God, the craziest one. He said I was sacrificing children on Halloween that the FBI needed to get me before I could. They said that I attacked children, I attacked women. I'm smothering
Oh my
men at a
God.
gay bar, that I'm the Lady Bird Lake killer. I mean, it is nuts what these people say. They said that me and my wife are in a satanic cult, and she was a biker, a whore, excuse my language. And I'm like, what in the hell are these people? Where are they getting this shit from? Like, they dream this shit up. So think about it. If you got an imagination like that, imagine any encounter that you're going to tell somebody is probably bullshit, because you have an imagination that can come up with some shit. They need to be going and writing for a sci-fi channel or something, you know?
Could probably make it pretty far in sci-fi, man, or like coming up with this
Sharknado
whole,
or
yeah, like this whole sphere just attracts like these people, and they just want to start drama, man. I just can't handle it. Like, and that's why I got out of YouTube years ago, man. Like when I used to interact with a lot of people that started doing that, I just was like, fuck, this is a waste of time if these people are just going to go on. I don't even know who the hell half these people are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all's well that ends well. I'm glad you showed up on planet Earth with us, you know, and you got away from, you know, the planet Zebulon over there with old Blake. But, you know, and like I said, I didn't want to say his name, but he's a real piece of work. And I've offered many times to bury the hatchet with him and just said, but he won't do it. He just wants to, you know,
I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. You guys have never actually spoken. It's bizarre.
Yeah, but he won't talk to me. He just attacks, and he started attacking me a year and a half ago. Wedge until he says what sets Josh Jerry Williams. Jerry Williams is, if anybody knows, he wrote the book Spiritual Bigfoot. He talks about he and Ella Williams are great people. Somebody put the link to his book, Jerry's book, on there, please. It's Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path. That's what it's called. But he's a full-blooded Choctaw native. And anyways, and Abe Seas, he's another good one, former military. I was a sergeant in the Army, was in Desert Storm. But Abe, and it says Abe and a few others apart from the rest is that they are aware there's more out there than Bigfoot. Dogman, yes. And that's one thing that Jerry does. And another good friends of our channel is Joe and Jesse Doyle from Help and Holler. And I'm not afraid to admit that Joe ripped my ass because I said something about them on there. And he's like, why are you listening to these people? And I'm saying the same thing to people, like, why are you listening to these people? Because I got taken by them too. You know, I mean, I'm not infallible. I've messed up. I've said things because I thought somebody said something. There's a woman out there that hates my guts because I believed that she was, because he used her fake, he trolled as her. And so I went in on her because I thought this, you know, but I didn't think, hey, this is a fake, because you're not thinking like that. People that steal think everybody's a thief. Murderers think everybody's a killer or potential killer. And liars think everybody's telling falsehoods. That's the way it works. And so if your mindset is not geared toward that negative bullshit, you're thinking the better of people. And then it's to your own detriment because they take your altruism and they twist it. And one of the worst things this guy from Oklahoma, and I'll say this again, when he was doing those, the research on these canned foods, he wasn't making food like he has another channel where he believe this or not, he taste tests food. And so I didn't know anything about it. Somebody told me about it. And so I don't care about that channel or whatever, but they were making fun of him. I felt bad for the guy, even though all the things he had done to me. And I reached out to the guy and told him, hey man, if you're hurting financially for food, I know the government shut down, whatever. And I offered to help him, and he turned it into me trying to bribe him. And I'm like, what? There's no winning with these people. So I say, to hell with it, to forget it, whatever. And Abe, who's a very Christian person, he said he's no longer going to pray for them. They said they weren't going to pray for me and Abe a long time ago. And I said, well, I'm still going to pray. I'm not going to be taken in by their BS, you know, and I'm not going to offer to help any of them ever again because they use it against you. So,
no good deed goes unpunished, man.
No, I mean, and the reason that even came up is because there was a woman who I had helped or offered to help, and she turned it into like I had asked for money on my show, and then was turning around and telling her, "Oh, I got plenty. Let me give it to you." That's not what happened. That is a lie. And I went in on her, you know, because I got so mad. I said, "Why would you do that?" And then on the comments, he jumps on and says, he did the same thing to me. And I'm like, I was trying to help y'all, literally help you, and you've turned it into something bad. So I will never, I mean, they can starve. I just, because I'm not going to put myself out there and be attacked. I forgive them for what they're doing, but I'm not going to turn myself around and get bit in the ass by a dog again. That's not going to happen. So that's it, But I appreciate you coming on, man. Tonight was cool, man. We only had a couple hundred people in here, but hey, it was something. And the people that came were very special. And every single one of you, thank you so much. Even the haters who probably showed up to stalk me, thank you for the views. We get paid for that. Thank you very much. And that's fine. Y'all want to be ugly, keep being ugly. It's whatever. But don't stop praying, folks. And the way you should pray for these people is not that God that strikes them down and does vile, mean things to them the way that they're saying. You pray that God, the Holy Spirit, will come over them and change them. And when they change, then God will bless them and that they will do something better with their lives. Don't wish ill on them, because it's just going to be hot coals poured on you. Okay. So don't give yourself over to the anger and hate. I know I'm guilty of it. We all are. We've lost our cool, but we got to get refocused, because there are people out there who want to tell their encounters, like Conrad and other people, and they want to be heard. And we got to be that beacon in the night for them. And they, I think what Sparky said is a good idea for anybody. Even if you're not the best speaker, if you have something to say, make a channel, because you never know who might be listening, who might want to hear what you have to say, and then bring other people on and network. And then this thing blows up to where everybody's talking about it, and we can know that this is the real reality, and the people that are in charge can stop hiding it from us. Now, like I said, we're not doing the David Wilcock thing where we go crazy QN and whatever. But there are people that are bad people that are in charge, and I do believe that they have a vested interest in keeping us very ignorant. That's my opinion, and I think that we should all work together, and do what we got to do to get ourselves back on track. Conrad, I'm glad that you come back to the community and give it another shot. Sorry it kind of started off with that.
Well, it was interesting, bro. But yeah, man, dude, I look forward to seeing your shows, man. Really look forward to it, man.
For sure, man. And I'll see you guys later, man. Sparky, I'll see you tomorrow, and Conrad, we'll be on tomorrow. It's either going to be in the afternoon. I haven't decided yet, or we're going to do it in the evening. But
well, I got you on notifications, bro. I got you on notifications on my phone and everything, dude. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll see you guys.
All right. Have a good one. Night, everyone.
Have a good night.
Stay warm up there, Conrad.
We'll try, bro. It's a blizzard here, dude. Have a good one, guys.
All right. So that's Conrad and Sparky. Thank you for coming on. And it turned out to be a pretty good little show. This was kind of disheartened when I got called every name in the book by a guy who I was not attacking and didn't say anything to him. And that's fine. He can say whatever. Conrad was on his show and was kind of sitting there going like, what is this? Which is the problem, because we have had problems on our show where we've had to say things and address people like Sparky was talking about. We're still going to do what we got to do. We're not going to let these people, it's Christmas time, and I'm going to give away a ton of stuff for Christmas. We're going to give away tumblers. We're going to give away hoodies, shirts, you name it. And it's going to be Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. And so thank you to everybody who's helped with the show and donated. We are trying to get the money together for the food drive we do every year. We didn't do it last year because we didn't get enough funds, and I didn't have the time either. This year, I'm a little more balanced. I got things a little bit more ducks in a row. Let's work together and let's get it done. Let's help people that are less fortunate. And if you're those people, don't be afraid to ask. All they can do is say no, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be too proud. We here at PRT try to help all of our paratroopers. We love everybody. And I do forgive these people. They do the nastiest, meanest things, but this is an example for the rest of the community and the world to show that even though people attack you and they try to annihilate your character and they say the nastiest, what was said yesterday on there about Bettina, I'm just going to address that very quickly. They said that she told them that I was blackmailing her. That is the biggest lie. Me and Bettina are like this, and we've always been tight, and they've accused me of everything. They've accused me of having wanting to be with her and all this other crap. you know, and people have accused her of the same thing. It is nothing like that. Our friendship has always been platonic, and I am with my wife, Nellie, and I love my wife, and I wish they would stop talking about her. They say the nastiest, meanest things. And yeah, it hurts me. It hurts me very badly, but I'm not going to give them the more oxygen for their fire. Okay? Tomorrow night, come on, we're going to talk about Central Texas Dogman. It's my hometown. That's what it's going to be about. There's a whole lot of material we got to cover. I've been working on getting some of these encounters together, and it's been a long road for some of these people and for me to get together with them. People lie. My friend Jason that gave me that encounter, his ex-wife, who I haven't talked to in 20 years, lied to that man. And he stayed away from me because she told him that I was her friend and all this other. I don't even talk to her. She don't even live in Texas anymore. And it's like, why would you do that? People lie. They say horrible, bad things. It's part of being human, you know, unfortunately. And you got to forgive. That's just, you know, but don't forgive to the point where, you know, you're forgetting. You forgive, but you don't forget what these people do, and remember it so you don't get bit again by the same dog. So that's my thing. So thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys. That other video we took the part out where the guy was cussing and saying all the stuff about me and my wife. We had to take that, dismantle it so that we can put it back on the channel, and that will be back on. And tomorrow it's all about business, folks. I'm telling you. It's going to be off the chain. Dogman. All right. I'll see you. Good night. We're going to go out with one of Nellie's songs here. Let's go with the Frankenstein one. I really like this one. It's all written by Nellie, my wife. Good night.
This pain of coming back to life, I feel everything, everything. When I open my eyes, your face, I'll never forget. Your horror, my pain, I'm alive, living again. I feel every stitch and every scar. Father, what's my purpose? Abandoned, left for dead, a monster. Why have you forsaken me? Accept me as I am. God, do you feel like a god, creating without thinking, no pros, no cons? You let me walk, you let me see, you let me feel. I found her, but she did not know me. I reached for her, but she recoiled in horror. I wanted to beg anything for her love. The look on her face, I want out of this place. Father, what's my purpose? Abandoned, left for dead, a monster. Why have you forsaken me? Accept me as I am. It doesn't matter, it can't matter no more. I'm incomplete, I'm missing me. The world is darker than I remember. I wanna love her, but this heart is not mine. I wanna touch her, but these hands are not mine. I wanna tell her I love her, but this voice is not mine. Looking into her eyes, I saw how love died. Now that's where her body lies. Father, what's my purpose? Abandoned, left for dead, a monster. Why have you forsaken me? Accept me as I am. Revenge shall be mine, I'll catch you in time. You gave me the pain of coming back to life. I want you to see me, look what you've done, what you've done. A man no more from a madman's hands. I walk alone, no part of me is home. Place me back under the stone. Father, what's my purpose? Abandoned, left for dead, a monster. Why have you forsaken me? Accept me as I am. As I am. What's my purpose?